Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of First Timers Movie Club.
Hey, howdy. Hey, hello.
Excellent,
Thanks.
excellent entry into this podcast.
I got nervous and I didn't remember which hello I wanted to use. And then I got scared and hi.
Okay, cool. Well, this is First Timers Movie Club.
The podcast for movie lovers by movie makers.
Yeah, where we have guests on, or sometimes just us, and we make each other watch movies we've never seen and share lots of awesome trivia with you.
Exactly. This would be a great time to remind our listeners to like, subscribe, hit those buttons, hit all the buttons, rate this podcast.
Yes, please.
And especially, we are still within the voting period for the KC Pitch Best of KC.
Yes, if you haven't already voted us Best Podcast in Kansas City, please do. I will love you forever.
Yeah, so if you want Lolo's Forever Love,
Yep.
It gets you nothing except for the brownie points in your own head.
Yeah, but that's valuable.
But it takes no time to vote for Best of KC, so that's super great to get.
Yeah.
And the link is in the description of this episode. It's also everywhere else. You don't have to vote for any other category.
Yeah, just go vote for us.
You can if you want.
At all.
I made a really big Facebook post about who I'm friends with that's nominated, so you can just go look at that if you want. But yeah, so please do that and follow the podcast everywhere.
Yes.
All the stuff.
But so I'm Lolo Loren.
And I'm Patrick Poe.
And today
we are joined.
We have a third
by
person.
An amazingly talented actress. I don't really know what term to use. So we'll say actor. We're going to say actor.
Okay, I like
An amazingly talented actor. She is a friend of ours. You can see her in the Toddy Brothers sci-fi film Under the Sun on YouTube now.
Award-winning sci-fi film Under the Sun.
Yes. She's also in the upcoming sequel to that, Industrial Evolution. You can catch her hand in a Wendy's commercial. just a little hand there. And she's going to be you'll be able to see her in an upcoming Boulevard commercial. She's around, guys. She's everywhere.
She is. She's awesome.
She's absolutely amazing. It's the one, the only Solymar Romero.
It's actually two hands in that Wendy commercial.
Oh, so both hands. Oh, shoot. Wow.
You're twice as famous as I thought you were.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
so welcome.
I know. Thank you so much. I love the pod.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
I was trying not to slurp my tea while you were talking.
I appreciate that.
Oh.
You can now slurp away. Now that we've introduced you, just
now
slurp.
they know you're here. That was a very good slurp.
We were talking before the mics were on, and we are fully aware and expecting Soli to just make weird noises throughout the whole episode.
Correct.
Because she's
That's just
prone
what I
to do that.
I also just want to mention that Soli is very dedicated to this podcast because she is here recording in our home with our cats, despite being allergic to our cats.
She is in the cat house.
We will see how my voice sounds by the end of it.
Yeah, so this is what she sounds like pre-cats.
Uh-huh.
La 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 la.
And we'll have you sing at the end.
It's the big musical number at the end of the podcast.
So today,
Yes.
should we at least talk about what movie we're watching?
Yes.
I would appreciate that.
Okay, do you want to know?
Yes, please.
You already know. But we'll let the listeners know, even though it's the title of the episode. Today, we're watching Alfred Hitchcock's classic movie, Psycho.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Which I've seen.
And I have seen.
And I have not.
So is it time for housekeeping? Is there much housekeeping from last episode?
There's a couple of things to talk about from last episode, and
Okay.
then there's also the fantastical journey we just went on to tell people about, if you would like to do that.
Yeah, we could do that real briefly.
Should we do that first?
The fantastical journey we just went on?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, we just got back from the No Coast Film Festival in Emporia, Kansas, which was our first year attending, and it was a absolute blast. We went and screened our film Everybody Does It, which
Yeah.
you can watch on our YouTube right now, and it was so fun.
Yeah, we're also screening it again at the KC Underground Film Festival when this episode drops. It would be in 2 days, so that's Sunday.
Yes,
But yeah, No Coast was a blast.
it was.
Emporia is a city that I've never stopped in.
Oh.
We've driven through it many times.
Gotcha.
It's the halfway point from here to Wichita, if you've ever done that drive.
Yeah, so I grew up in Topeka, and that's like just south of there. But back when I was younger, if you went into Emporia, it smelled like cow shit. It was so bad. I could not stand it. I went with my brother once to pick up something from Craigslist, and I was like, this is disgusting. No, now it's fine. Now it smells great. I think it's because they used to have the Tyson plant.
Oh, and do they not anymore?
They don't anymore. I don't believe so. I might be wrong.
Got it.
I mean, yeah,
I
it
didn't
smelled
notice
fine.
a cow shit smell.
Yeah,
so-
no, it's gone. Good
Yeah.
for them.
We've stopped in Emporia literally only to go to Brahms.
Yes.
Because I used to live in Pittsburgh and there was a Brahms and it was delicious.
You just unlocked a memory. Because last summer, into the fall, I was a PA on a film, and I thought I went to Brahms for the first time in like Wichita or Sterling or something. But I think I went to the Brahms in Emporia when I was younger. So this whole time everybody was like, wow, you finally got to try Brahms. But it was all a lie.
I mean, their burgers are really good.
And their ice cream. I just love getting the burger and the ice cream. And
Yeah.
then the two things are tied together for me.
Yeah, just put all the calories in your body at once.
Well,
Makes it better.
obviously. That's the point of living.
You get different parts of the cow.
Exactly.
But we actually stopped in Emporia this time, and
Yeah.
we watched a bunch of movies. Have you been to or seen the Granada Theater?
No, I haven't.
It is.
I know, I saw your
insane.
photos. It's gorgeous.
It's
What a
stunning.
place.
Yeah, it was wild, and our dumb poop joke had no business showing
I know.
in such a beautiful theater. Like,
Yeah, especially there were some really incredible shorts that showed, which I mean, I love our short, but yeah, there were some great shorts. There's some really
Yes.
talented filmmakers from all over that we got to meet.
yes, we met some wonderful filmmakers. We met a guy out from New York, who's now in LA. He was in Tennessee. No,
He was in Nashville. yeah.
Nashville. That's in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I know the country. I know states.
San Francisco.
A San Francisco
A lot of
filmmaker.
places represented this weekend. It was very cool.
We hung out with our friends from Blue Barn, which are amazing.
Yes, Blue Barn Productions. You should check them out on YouTube. Because if you like us, you will like them. They do a lot of really awesome comedy too.
Yeah, if you like our weird sketches, you will definitely like their weird sketches and
Yes.
short films and stuff. Did you see the doc?
I did at Doc Sunback.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't know about cat poop?
Yes.
Yes.
And the sock puppet.
The sock puppet was amazing. I was cackling.
Yeah, so they showed another one, it's a new one at No Coast that will be showing at KC Underground
Oh,
also.
cool.
But if you want to look up the two we just mentioned, the cat poop one is called Chuck Larson, Artists in Their Spaces, I believe. And then the cat one is called Coconut the Cat, both by Blue Barn Productions. You should look
Oh, is
up and
Coconut
watch.
on the YouTubes or Vimeo or something?
It's on either the YouTubes or the Vimeo. I might just be on the Vimeo.
Wow. I just learned that. That's nice. I'm going to rewatch that.
Okay.
But yeah, so No Coast was wonderful. We had great beer from Radius.
We did.
We had, which is a local brewery in Emporia. We're going to have to take Andrew down there at some point.
Yeah. I
because-
mean, they're popping up like daisies everywhere.
I know. But it was a good brewery. They had really good beer.
It was great.
And their food looked incredible, but I was too full to order food.
yeah.
It was a great little town, and we're excited to go to No Coast again next year, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That was our journey. And I guess I'll talk about the two little things from Enter the Dragon that
Yes.
we need to clear up.
What did we mess up?
We didn't mess up anything.
Oh, okay.
Really.
Great.
We talked extensively about my father and and his workout.
How does he make you feel?
Depends on the day. But no, we discussed that he was really into like Bruce Lee and like the crazy workout
Yeah.
things and diets and stuff. And you asked if he ate raw meat.
Yes.
So I did call my dad
Excellent.
just to ask him if he ever ate raw meat. And he did not, just like I guessed.
Okay.
I had guessed he
Yeah.
didn't do the raw meat, but he did do raw eggs. And that is the exact answer he gave me. He did have a buddy that did the raw meat, though. He did
Oh,
straight raw beef.
That's gross.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so gross.
Sorry to your buddy.
That's a lot. All right.
Yeah. So that was what my dad did.
Okay.
No raw beef. He thinks that's disgusting.
Good for him.
But like, I mean, I would try steak tartare because like I know that's like a prepared
Yeah,
dish.
I've had it, and like I love ceviche. That's probably one of my
Ceviche is the
favorite things in the
best.
world. But I've had steak tartare, and I don't know, man. It
It's
looks
no
like somebody
ceviche.
chewed up meat and put some spices on it.
You don't want someone to baby bird feed you meat?
Cool.
Weird. That's my weird fetish.
Oh,
Okay.
Baby birding.
I'm learning new things about my husband.
Raw steak.
And what's the other piece of housekeeping from our Enter the Dragon episode?
You were curious on whether or not the film Dragon with Brandon Lee had a mirror scene,
Yeah.
or
Oh, yeah.
if you'd seen photos and had weird nightmares.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to ruin the movie Dragon for myself because I have not seen it, but I did find photos of Brandon Lee in what looked like a recreation of the mirror scene.
Oh, okay. So they do the mirror scene from Enter the Dragon. Yeah, doo-doo.
So
Sully,
sorry.
doo-doo.
No, carry on.
Okay. That's all I had to say.
But that's all of the Enter the Dragon stuff to talk
Cool.
about.
Awesome.
So I guess it's time to move to the episode.
Spooky. Just kidding.
I just want to mention that today we are filming this in the evening. The sun has gone down and it has
It
been
was
a
a
rainy,
rainy day.
thunderstormy
We're
kind of
filming
day.
this?
What?
You said filming.
Oh, well, fuck me. Recording.
Correct.
And it has been, like, when it started thunderstorming earlier, I was like, oh man, and we're watching Psycho tonight. This is so perfect. I'm so excited. I'm gonna be scared and maybe have nightmares. It'll be great.
That's how I felt on the ride here, except for the nightmares.
Sully's never had a nightmare in her life. She only dreams
Well,
happy dreams.
No, here's the thing. That's partially true.
Oh my god.
When I was younger, like kids are more prone to night terrors, but I would like, I don't know, very young, remember having like monster nightmares where I'd wake up and be like, Mom, it was a monster. Just like describe it. It was just a monster. But now, as I've gotten older, this hasn't happened in a while. I just haven't had a nightmare. But like in the last 10 years, I don't know if they can count as nightmares because like I come out on top in the end. Like every time there's like a ghost or something spooky or something in my dream, I'm like, no.
Sully's just too badass for a nightmare.
She can fight nightmare monsters.
Yeah, really though. I just,
Damn.
I don't know if my brain just clicks. It's like, hey, we're in control here. But
Buddy, we got this.
we got this. And then I wake up and I'm like, yeah.
So, do you just have that kind of self-confidence in your normal life?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
Or if it's like carried over like from your subconscious to like day to day, you're like, oh, we got this.
It's in there though. Maybe I could.
Hell yeah.
Work on bringing Dream Sully into waking
Into
time
the
Sully.
real world.
Yeah.
Or is it the real world?
Well, we don't have time to go into that. Existential crisis.
So, what do you know about Psycho? What are your
Oof.
preconceived notions?
Yeah. So obviously, first thing that comes to mind is that shower scene. I've obviously seen that. It's spoofed
Okay.
a bajillion times. Actually, the first time I saw something relating to that was like Bugs Bunny doing that and
For
like
real?
pouring like Hershey's syrup into the drain, like his hand
Yeah.
popping out and like the label and everything. I know I'm familiar with like Bates Motel.
Okay. Yeah. The TV show.
But more so the new one,
Yeah.
you know? And even then I didn't really get that into it because I'm like, I don't know
Did
about
you try watching any of it?
I did. I think I watched the first season
Oh, wow.
of that. So is
I
that a
haven't
lot?
even seen any
Oh,
of Bates
really?
Motel.
That was years ago, though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember when
So
it came
I
out.
don't.
But...
I remember a little bit of it, but it does get a bit. I don't know. Freudian. So I dropped that, and then as far as like Hitchcock, I want to say like a decade ago. I had to have been like 17, 18 years old. I was into watching like Turner Classic Movies at the time, and they had a Hitchcock weekend.
Okay.
And I mostly wanted to see Vertigo because I had heard things about it. And I missed most of it. I was like not at home, came home, turned on the TV, and I was like, dang, I missed it. And I watched a little bit of it, but I thought, no, I need to see this properly. I got to see it from beginning to end.
Hitchcock
so I didn't
would
watch
like
it.
that.
Yeah, I know he, I would think he would.
He would respect that.
Oh, good. So then I waited till that was over and they played The Birds. And that's actually the only one I've ever seen. But
Okay.
it was really cool and I loved it. And I was just like, there was so much to take in and like just so much to process. So, and they did like a commentary and like trivia after the movie talking about it. And they kind of touched upon the mistreatment of Tippy.
Yeah.
And but they didn't really, like, they mentioned her getting pecked and stuff and some stuff, but they didn't really go into deep detail, because if you're having a Hitchcock weekend, you're not going to slander the man. But I was like, well, I want to know more. What happened? So I go that, and I was like, why did the birds attack? And I wanted to see if I could find a literal answer, and I didn't. But I looked up, I guess, stuff around that with controversy, and then that kind of like skewed my image of him. And like, I get like his imprint in the film industry and his artistic and cinematic genius, and like, I understand humans are complex.
Yeah.
But then from that point on, I was like, okay, he just seems like a sexually frustrated man, and I don't know if I'm as eager to watch something else. But Psycho was also like a film that I just wanted to watch later on at some point, and I just haven't.
So that's one of those things that like I agree, and I understand your point of view on Hitchcock as a person, because there are all these stories.
There's a lot of stories
that are very negative.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of quotes that like me and Lolo even throw around jokingly that are Hitchcock quotes that are like very bad for humans. But then like also today, like watching some of the docs that are on the Psycho DVD, a lot of the crew and some of the actors in Psycho even talk very positively about him.
Well,
and
even
love
Tippy.
Him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I that was part of like what I looked up with that, is she didn't like regret working with him, and she was like, well, you know, I can separate the artist from him, and I'm grateful that I worked on it. It's just a shame that he ruined my career.
Yeah. There's some weird stuff that he did with certain actresses, and then there's also the great work he did create and the influence that he made on cinematic history. But then there's also people that do like generally like love him. And then some of the stories that I'd always heard as being true today were dispelled actually in docs, like from people that were like, I'd heard like in the shower scene, I'd heard that they did like cold water to like really make her like on edge and to like shock her system and stuff like that. And she was like, that's a fucking lie. Like that's totally like, he was very consistently obsessed, and we took time out of the day to like reheat the water over and over again so that it was always hot and
so that
always
was
comfortable.
her saying it in a doc today.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so she was saying that it, like the water was so warm that like it was actually a detriment to the like taped on thing that she was wearing at one point, because the steam had, like was releasing some of the glue, because like they were consistent about making sure the water was hot,
making sure she was comfortable.
They held production to make her comfortable.
Interesting.
Wow.
So then I was like, oh well, like if that's not true, like then I started like wondering what else might not be true.
Yeah.
In the negative things people say about him.
Yeah.
And something I found really interesting in watching all the docs is everybody called him Mr. Hitchcock.
Oh.
Like talking about him as adults, like years later after he's dead, the lead actress of Psycho is talking about Mr. Hitchcock, Mr. Hitchcock.
Oh.
One of the guys that was working in the camera department called him Mr. Hitchcock the whole time. Like everyone calls him, like nobody calls him Alfred, which I thought was super strange.
I have a weird question. So like the documentaries you were watching today, how long after Psycho were they recorded? Like was it did it feel like a significant period of time?
Definitely, because was dead
when they recorded it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was dead and everyone was very old.
Okay. Well, I was just curious because I know like if someone had a very negative experience with a director and then like the next year they recorded a documentary and the director was still alive, like you might say nice things even if you don't feel them. But so this was way later after he was dead and people were like no, he was great.
Janet Leigh, who's one of the leads of Psycho, was an old wrinkly lady.
Oh, okay. So she had no motivation to lie.
That's a really rude way to describe a person, but I'm just trying to tell you that time had passed. I mean, she's dead at this point. She can't be mad at me, right? I guess Jamie Lee Curtis could be mad at me for saying that about her mom. But if you didn't know that, that's some piece of trivia right there.
That makes sense. I put 2 and 2 together. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
cool.
I don't know. Maybe it like builds to the narrative of the kind of films that he makes if you villainize him.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah, I
I'm
guess.
sure there's
I mean, it's also possible
some
some people
truth.
did have bad experiences, but it sounds like a lot of people on Psycho had good experiences.
And like he did have weird views on like actors.
Yeah.
And like there are like the actors being cattle quote we always
Yeah, I've
talk
heard that.
like I believe that quote is real, especially because like I was listening to him talk to Francois Truffaut in an interview. Like they showed the audio clips of it, and Truffaut said something about him not only bringing in the like, oh, what did he say? Something like the advantage of an actor, but also sometimes he can like bring out like the disadvantages in a way that makes the actor seem even better. And like Hitchcock said something around like, well, I hope so, because like they're like 10% good things about actors and 90% bad. Or like,
Okay. Yeah.
so like he has a weird view on actors as people.
Just a necessary evil for him to make his
They're
art.
props.
Kind of.
He very much viewed them like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I can keep talking about him thinking of actors as props, or unless we want to talk about it in trivia, I don't know which to do.
Let's go ahead and do some of the basic trivia that we usually do top of the.
Okay, we'll talk more about actors as being props later.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to do too much trivia before she's seen it, you know. So I think we
Yeah.
should cut to give us some
Yeah, tell me the bare minimum.
baseline information about Psycho, and then
Yeah.
we'll watch it.
So I am going to talk about a weird trivia piece at the top here and
Okay.
telling you the bare minimum, and kind of telling our listeners right now, if you have not seen Psycho, if you know very little about Psycho, please watch it like right now before we even like get into like. Please
Okay,
watch it
before
right
you
now.
even give any more information.
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's how Hitchcock would have wanted it. To the point that this film had a very special release in the sense that they were obsessive about not allowing audiences in to see the film if the movie had started. Which wasn't like common practice at the time. At the time, you kind of like went to the movies and you just gave them like a couple bucks and you saw whatever the fuck was screening at the moment. But for this movie, he was insistent that you have to see it from the beginning. And if you don't, you can't come in the theater. And they had signs that displayed it. He contacted every theater that was going to show it to talk to their managers about the fact that they can't let anybody else in. And they held to it. They said, it doesn't matter if you're the manager of the theater's brother, if you're the president of the United States, or if you're the Queen of England, God rest your soul, you cannot come in this movie late.
Okay.
And they gave every theater a standee that said that. They gave him a standee that told you the time the next showing of Psycho was going to be, which theaters they didn't do that.
They didn't really have the schedules.
They didn't have schedules of when movies showed. You just went to the movies and you saw whatever the fuck was showing pretty much.
Okay.
And if you were like interested, like Gone with the Wind showing, oh, we'll go to the movies today, and then like we'll see Gone with the Wind when it comes on, or we'll either go into the middle of Gone with the Wind and maybe we'll catch the beginning later. And that was like such common practice with movies. You would just be going to the movies to see whatever the fuck was going on.
Okay. And
But
you just sit there for as long as you felt like sitting there.
Kinda,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
But Psycho was specific, and they forced you to see Psycho when Psycho started, and you went to the end. And then they also had signs that asked you to please not tell anyone. Do everyone a favor. Do not spoil this movie for anyone. Don't tell them what happens. Don't tell them anything about the movie.
Wow.
So like this is like the beginning of like people having these set like
Movie
showings times, waiting in line to see movies. There's documentaries like where they're showing them waiting in lines, which was a brand new thing for the movies because you just go in when you went to the movies. But like they stood in line waiting to get their ticket to Psycho. They had separate lines for if you had your ticket or before you like bought your ticket. It was crazy. And like showing times and spoilers, like this is all Psycho based. So he would love that you didn't watch Vertigo until you could see the whole movie.
Great. I'm so happy.
But that also is why I like want to encourage listeners, like if you don't know much about it, please go watch it.
Yeah.
Like go watch Psycho. Don't hear anything about it. But yeah, so it's 1960. If we're want to know what it is. The top grossing films in the U.S. in 1960 were Spartacus, which is a Stanley Kubrick film, which I need to make Lolo watch.
Yeah.
Psycho is the number 2 film.
Oh.
Exodus, Swiss Family Robinson, The Alamo, The World of Susie Wong, Butterfield 8, The Apartment,
Oh.
the original Ocean's 11
With
and From the Terrace.
Sinatra and
Yeah, the Rat Pack Ocean's 11.
Gotcha.
Which most people don't even know is like the current one's a remake, but
Yeah.
it is. It was originally done with Sinatra and all his buddies.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it.
That's
haven't
another one that I haven't seen completely, but I've seen most of it just because it popped up on the telly. It was like, yo, cool. I love the new one. Let's watch the old one.
I
want
bought
to
it on
see
DVD because I was like, I love the new one. Let's watch the old one. And then I've never been like, yeah, let's actually watch the old one.
We should do a double feature sometime.
That would be really
Watch
fun.
the old one and then the new one.
That would be really fun. At the Academy Awards in 1961, technically, for the 1960 movies, the best film and best director went to The Apartment,
Okay.
which is a movie I have not seen, but if you know the musical Promises, Promises, have you heard of that musical? No, don't know musical solely? No? Oh, it's like amazing. I saw it on Broadway with Kristen Chenoweth.
Wow. I love her.
Yeah, I do too. And I think Sean Hayes was the man in that. And
That musical is
That
a
musical's
musical based
based
on The Apartment.
Apartment.
Gotcha.
And it's so good. I like it's one of my top musicals.
Wow.
So I need to see the movie someday.
Yeah.
The movie's supposed to be sadder.
The movie is very sad.
Psycho was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, which were Best Director, Best Supporting Actress, Best Art Direction Black and White, and Best Cinematography Black and White. And it won 0. Wah, wah. But yeah, so this is still when they had black and white awards separate from color.
Yeah.
Because
I just learned that from you guys.
Yeah, I thought that was such a weird thing to
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes like we said, it makes sense
Yeah.
because like it's so interesting because like Hitchcock chose to make this film in black and white because this movie comes out just after, like, on the heels of he'd done Vertigo before it, he'd done North by Northwest,
Which was in color.
which were both in color,
Yeah.
and then he went back to black and white,
Gotcha.
and then he actually never went back to it after this movie. But yeah, this was the 5th and final time Alfred Hitchcock was nominated as Best Director, and he never won.
Wow.
Poor guy.
It's always like interesting because some of the movies that like sweep the Oscars are movies that are then famous for the rest of
Yeah.
eternity. But there are movies like this that like
Just
it
stand
won
the test
nothing.
of time.
But I
Yeah.
bet it's more famous than anything that did win those awards it lost out on.
I mean, The Apartment,
Well, not yeah.
which like not a lot of people know The Apartment.
Yeah,
though.
a lot of people haven't heard of it. Like it is a good film, but like
And like it's interesting that Spartacus was the best film that like the highest grossing film that year.
yeah.
But like, and it stood the test of time, but it got no awards.
But like everyone knows the shower scene from Psycho. Like whether or not you've seen the movie, like everyone knows the shower scene from Psycho.
Yeah, which would just break Alfred's heart.
Poor guy.
Poor,
Yeah.
poor Alfred. Yeah, this is his 47th film he directed.
Fuck.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then just because you mentioned Birds was the next movie he made. So
Ah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there we go. The screenplay is by Joseph Stefano, who was a pretty new dude at the time, which Hitchcock didn't often work with young writers. He did not like to work with young writers, and he especially was not super interested in finding new talent. So this was kind of a weird thing for him.
Okay. So he wasn't interested in young people, new talent, or actors.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he liked it if you chewed his food first.
Yeah, just like me. He loved Baby Bird and food.
Okay.
But he optioned the book, because this is based on a book of the same title, actually, by Robert Bloch. And he optioned the book. He had a writer from his TV show, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, write a screenplay. He thought it was very boring. And then somehow Joseph Stefano came on and like tried to like pitch that he's like, I could do this thing. And he said an idea that convinced Hitchcock to let him try a pass at it. He did a pass that he turned into Hitchcock, and Hitchcock actually shot that first script
Whoa.
that Stefano turned in.
Cool.
So
Did he
that's-
go on to write more successful things?
I didn't do enough
Oh,
research.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to look more into Hitchcock and Stefano, but I didn't get
We
around
were at a
to
film
that.
festival all weekend.
I'm so
No,
sorry.
that's okay. We could talk about it next week.
I failed solely.
It's okay. I guess I'll just never know.
So Robert Bloch wrote the book Psycho, loosely based on Ed Gein. Do we all know Ed Gein? This is the thing we shouldn't talk about because Lolo's going to hate it, but we're going to talk about.
No. What?
Lolo has a thing. Lolo hates whenever real life murderers are glorified or
Oh.
I don't think real bad guys should get attention.
yes. So you'll kind of like the fact that Gein is never he hasn't really had a successful movie with his name in it.
Yeah. Okay. So they at least didn't use the name of the real guy.
Yes.
Okay. That's better.
But he is a real life American murderer.
Psycho.
More, yeah. Which in American Psycho, he references Ed Gein in it. Like the main character says an Ed Gein quote, even though it's actually a misquoting a different serial killer, but he attributes it to Gein.
Wow.
But so yeah, Gein was a real life. He wasn't. What's interesting is that he wasn't much of a serial killer. He was caught too soon, really.
Wow.
To be
Okay.
Oh,
So he's
well,
just a
that's-
killer.
Yeah, he murdered a couple people, not like a fuck ton of people.
Okay. That's still.
But he is the real inspiration for this
I
film.
think anyone who murders more than once,
Yeah.
like, is a serial. Like,
Okay.
Just
Well, 'cause,
split the
like,
soul
if
more
there's,
than
like-
once.
He made many Horcruxes.
Oh no.
So if he killed a handful of people, I think you can say he was a serial killer.
I think he only murdered 2.
Okay.
He was also a grave robber and dug up bodies, though. And
Oh, he was real weird. Okay.
he's a real weirdo. He's the weirdo that not only is this film loosely like inspired by Gein, so is House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Goodness.
and the character of Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs.
Oh.
All draw inspiration from Gein. He pretty much like because a lot of those characters are murdery people that are interested in. I don't want to talk too much about,
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause I don't wanna
she hasn't
ruin
seen the
Psycho.
movie.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
but
We can talk more about specifics after we've watched it.
yeah, we can
if
talk
you
more
want.
about Gein later.
Great.
Even though I don't really want
Yeah,
to.
gross.
But
It's gross. He's gross.
he ties all those films together.
Cool.
Him and his creepiness.
Gross.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I've actually only seen Silence of the Lambs out of that list of movies.
Same.
Yeah.
That and this.
Yeah. Which you haven't seen Silence of the Lambs, have you?
No. No. Okay, so that's another one that I was younger and I remember my dad and my stepmom watching, and I want to say I saw Anthony Hopkins in a jail cell and I was kind of like I don't know, pulled in a little bit, and I started watching, and then my stepmom saw that I was watching. She was like, "No, she can't see this." So
That was the right choice on her part.
Yeah, at that age, definitely.
yeah,
But you do watch like kind of spookier movies.
yeah.
Yeah, you're into like.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
I'm
Is this
into
gonna
everything.
This will be like the thing is we're just gonna have Sully on whenever we want to watch a scary movie.
Yes. She's our spooky
Really,
movie
just
expert.
like and well, I wouldn't say I'm an expert. I mean, I think horror gets bashed on a bit sometimes because they can get like, I don't know, gory or maybe even like corny or something. But I think there's just like the tonality of it just being present throughout the entire thing is really cool. Like it's very ambient.
Okay.
And then I love the idea of just like anything that's like dealing with the human psyche is awesome. So like thrillers in general, I love any kind of like drama thriller.
So this is a great movie to show you then because they consider this the first psychoanalytical thriller ever made. So this is the beginning of that genre.
Wonderful.
It's also considered one of the first slasher films of all time by many critics. The only other film that can kind of take that from it is a film called Peeping Tom. And it was released literally weeks before Psycho. And it kind of has similar
Wow.
themes and ideas, but it totally failed.
Ah.
So if you're like trying to do the like film lineage of slasher films and that kind of subgenre of horror, this would be its birth, like in the sense that people have seen it and were able to take inspiration from it, where nobody watched Peeping Tom.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Poor Tom.
It's very sad. Very sad for Tom.
yeah. This movie stars Anthony Perkins, who at the time of the making of this film was being kind of like groomed in the studio system to kind of replace James Dean.
Oh.
They thought he would be the next James Dean.
Okay.
It also stars Janet Leigh, who was a huge star at the time and was the lead of like all the stuff. You know,
Yep.
if you saw Janet Leigh, lead of the movie. She is Jamie Lee Curtis's mom, which just, I don't know, that's fun.
Ma'am.
They spell Lee different, but I think it's cute that like,
Oh.
because Tony Curtis
Is her dad?
is her dad. And I like that they put both the names in there in like a different way, but still. And it is fun that like, yeah, she was the star of Psycho, Janet Leigh was, and then Jamie Lee Curtis went on to be in the next biggest slasher movie of all time, Halloween,
Right.
Yeah.
which
Scream
draws
Queen.
direct inspiration from Psycho. So,
Yeah.
and like,
And this poor woman, she's still fighting that guy. Like, she's
Yes.
gonna die, and she's just gonna have to fight him as a ghost.
I really want to see, like, we just watched the Halloween movies for the first time
The
ever
original ones.
recently.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to see these remakes that they've done with Jamie Lee Curtis in the recent years. The new
The
one that's coming out
newest
soon.
ones.
Like, oh, I want to watch them.
Wow. See, now you're hooked.
I know we're becoming like
Yeah.
horror
I'm honestly
people.
not that into the classics because I suck. I'm so sorry. The
That's
classic
fine.
horror films. Oh man.
You can say that.
You don't have
That's
to like
so
everything.
mean.
It's
No,
not.
I want to like everything. I'm so sorry.
No, on this podcast we talk about the fact that you don't have to like everything
Yeah.
because it's just like you can acknowledge that it was well made or it was a thing for its time, but it doesn't like it's not something that works for you. The movie just isn't for
Right.
you, and that's fine. If Halloween isn't for you,
It's not.
oh man. Well, to get back to Psycho. It also other kind of stars of it are Vera Miles, John Gavin, and Martin Balsam. I think I said that right. Yeah,
Like the tree. Is that what you're saying? Balsam.
yeah.
Okay.
Balsam.
Okay.
Yeah, Balsam.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, Martin Balsam.
Fur.
Cool.
Almost
cool.
sounds like you're saying ball sack. So I'm just like, okay, let's
And
confirm.
Martin Balsack. Yeah.
I'm sure he heard it a lot. He knows.
Yeah, probably a lot in grade school, high school. You
Poor
know.
guy.
So to just mention its influences, the things that like it influenced, and then to mention like what people like listed as and its kind of accolades since being released, and then I think we can get on to watching this movie.
Yeah.
So films influenced by Psycho. A lot of people discuss that the Bourne films are actually influenced by the works of Alfred Hitchcock. Not
Really?
just Psycho, but like the works of Alfred Hitchcock. They think that if Hitchcock had had the budget and not the censors, that like that is stylistically the way they build suspense and thriller and action beats.
I mean, North by Northwest
Yes.
is like, I guess now that I think about
It's
it, very much
Hitchcockian.
like a Bourne film.
Yeah. Yeah, Bourne has these weird Hitchcockian influences. So like that's more of a I guess these are things that Hitchcock influenced more than what Psycho influenced specifically.
Yeah, because like Psycho's a slightly different genre, but like Vertigo and North by Northwest and some of his other, like The Man Who Knew Too Much is also like a. Yeah. Okay.
Martin Scorsese is hugely influenced by Hitchcock, and including things like there's a scene in Raging Bull that is a like shot for shot, not recreation obviously, but like conversation with the shower scene. Actually, there's a fight scene in Raging Bull that the cuts are match for match the shower scene, and he said it in a like I watched Scorsese say it, and then they showed them together,
Oh,
and they flow
weird.
together.
That's an interesting choice to
There's
put work into.
Yeah, he was also talking about another shot that I can't remember if it was in Cape Fear or something, where somebody falls back in a chair or is like pushed to the ground, and it's a direct shot like stolen from the stairway scene in Psycho that you'll see in a minute here. And there are shots in Cape Fear, which is a Scorsese film that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
But he took directly from Vertigo.
Oh.
And there's direct Vertigo influences. And like they were showing them and he was like, this is the Hitchcock walking down an alley scene. And then they showed a couple of Hitchcock's, the way he shows people walk down an alleyway. And then he did the Cape Fear walk down the alleyway. It's shot the exact same way.
Wow.
Timing's the same. Like there's a shot in Vertigo on the eyes where it's red. He does that shot in Cape Fear where he changes the colors instead of having it just stay red. Like
Weird.
So Scorsese has a lot of influence.
Yeah.
Jaws is influenced by Hitchcock and just Steven Spielberg in general. So is Duel. And
That makes sense.
the movie Hostel apparently takes influence.
Haven't seen that.
Have you seen Hostel?
Yeah.
Yeah? Not a fan?
I like the first one.
Okay.
I'll say, 'cause it's like a whole franchise now. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
It's really just like anytime. I mean, he's a master of the anticipation, which is like where the fear lies,
Yeah.
is in that negative space. So that makes complete sense.
Guillermo del Toro cites him as inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Brian De Palma, who directed the remake of Scarface and The Black Dahlia,
Yeah.
both say that it's all Scorsese. John Carpenter, obviously. David Lynch, very obviously, in my opinion. Bates High School is the name of the school in Carrie because of the Bates Motel.
Okay, odd choice on their part.
I mean, that's his first novel. That's Stephen King's first novel he ever wrote. So I can see like being like, oh, that's a cute nod to like other horror I really like. William Friedkin. I don't know if you guys know who. So he directed The Exorcist and a bunch of other famous movies. And there's a lot of weird stuff about Friedkin that he's got a past.
Yeah, I mean, if he made The Exorcist, I guess.
I think he also did French Connection and a couple other things. But he, in the doc, talking about like Hitchcock and his like mark on cinema history, he says that he would tell a filmmaker, don't even go to film school, just watch Hitchcock's movies. He's like, that's what I did. I didn't go to film school. I watched Hitchcock, and now I'm Friedkin. Like,
Oh my God. Okay.
And now I'm hashtag Friedkin. Like, good for him, I guess.
he's Friedkin out. Like,
Oh Lord.
but like, yeah, and he even said like in The Exorcist, there's a couple of shots that he also like steals from
Yeah.
Psycho and other things.
Cool.
But yeah, so like all of those things have been influenced by this movie. In 1992, it entered the Library of Congress's National Film Registry, which, God, there's so many movies in that film registry. I didn't even know it existed until we started this podcast.
Yeah, me neither.
This movie is number 4 on Bravo's list of the 100 scariest movie moments.
Oh my God.
This is the first time we've cited Bravo as a source.
It is.
The British Film Institute's 2012 poll, Psycho was voted the 29th greatest film of all time.
Oh.
And they took those votes from a bunch of different places, but the critics rated it as the 35th greatest film of all time.
Oh.
And the directors rated it as 48th in the British Film Institute's thing.
Okay.
In 1999, The Village Voice ranked Psycho as the 19th top film out of 250 best films of the century.
Okay.
Entertainment Weekly's ranked at number 5 in the 100 greatest movies of all time in 2013. The National Society of Film Critics listed it in 72 as the top 100 essential films of all time.
So everybody likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
It
it's
was
good.
in
Just watch it.
Time's all 100 best movies list. The Guardian ranked it as the best horror film of all time.
Jeez.
Scorsese called it one of the 11 scariest movies of all time in a list
So
he
really,
made.
any list of movies, it's on it.
Yeah. AFI has it on their 100 movies in 100 year list at 18. 100 Years of Thrills at number 1.
Jeez.
100 Years of Heroes and Villains. It's got the second villain of all time.
Oh.
100 Years of 100 Movie Quotes. 100 Years of 100 Film Scores, number 4. And the 100 Top Movies in 100 Years, it was 14th. It's called the number 1 horror movie of all time, according to WatchMojo.com. And 8th in the BBC's list of 100 greatest American films of all time. And the Motion Picture Editors Guild in 2012, they voted it the 12th best edited film of all time.
That makes sense.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it for a while. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I just feel like it makes sense.
I like it whenever it's the Editors Guild because it's always voted by other editors.
Yeah.
And so it's cool to see like what they liked the editing in, and like the editing is really good.
Yeah, I'd love to see that whole list sometime.
In one of the docs I watched today, they were discussing that the editor would say that Alfred was so specific about the shots that they got. He was like, all you have to do is remove the slate at the beginning and remove a couple clips at the end, and that's all you have to do. Like, he's like, it's no work to edit a Hitchcock film.
Oh my lord.
So that's all the lists that this movie is on. This is where it sits in film history. It's obviously influenced pretty much any slasher or horror film made since 1960.
Yeah. And then some. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some before it even somehow.
No. You said pretty much every slasher or horror.
True. You're right.
I was a bit delayed.
You're right. Yeah.
Are we gonna watch it then?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
I think we're just no. That's it.
Are you
That's the
ready?
podcast.
Oh, okay.
right?
You're done. You're going home now.
Thank you for
finished.
having me.
Oh,
This
thank you
was
so much
great.
for being on, Sully. It was lovely having you.
Well, let's just keep it a mystery, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Hitchcock wouldn't want us to ruin it for
No.
anybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So-
Yeah,
Good
Yeah.
pod. Good
Great.
pod, guys.
I learned a lot.
All right, this is Psycho.
Dun dun dun. Okay, you have now seen Psycho.
I have. That was cool.
I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I was a little concerned having seen Bates Motel. I thought it was going to ruin I would know something that I shouldn't have known, but I didn't. I had no idea. And it's been years since I've seen that show. I don't know if I even made it to the very end. So I didn't see that coming.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome. So that's what, like,
it's good.
right as we were about to start it, I was like, oh, there was some stuff I wanted to ask before we started it, but then I realized that it would be hard to ask because I was curious if you knew the
The end or
the
not.
reveal.
I did not.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I was like, just kind of going along with the story, and I was like, so where is this going? Like, he's just gonna kill everybody? He's gonna... yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense now.
Was it like at all what you expected, or like
I don't know what I expected. A little bit, but also not. Yeah. I think as far as like cinematography, that is kind of what I expected.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing. That's awesome. That's like the best part of it. Especially like in the very beginning, that just moving shot with like the opening scene. That was great.
Of the city?
Yeah, and or not just the city, of them like in the room together. I was like, whoa, when is this gonna cut? This is great. It's just awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I didn't, for some reason, I didn't expect there to be a plot twist.
Yeah.
I don't know what I set no expectations. That's it. If I had set something, I would be able to I don't know. Yeah.
Another thing I was curious about is the whole Janet Leigh thing.
Mm-hmm.
So to give a little bit of backstory, as I said at the beginning, Janet Leigh, who played Marion.
Marion Crane. Yeah,
Marion
the
Crane?
first girl.
Yeah. She was a huge star at the time in the 60s. Well, I guess the early 50s because this is 1960. Huge star on like marquees. Alfred Hitchcock paid for it to say like Janet Leigh in Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like how it was billed. It was billed with her as the star. It was billed with her as the star.
Right.
And then 30 minutes in,
She dies.
she gets murdered.
Yeah. So I guess that's a good point. I didn't expect that either. I thought, are we closer to the end than I expected? Yeah, because I mean, up until that point, it just seems like the whole story is about her on the lam.
Yeah. And the money.
And then it completely switches and it's taken over by Norman.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I had already like pretty much seen just the shower scene in like other stuff and documentary, like, yeah, because it was such a famous scene and I liked movies. And so I was blown away when I watched the movie and the shower scene wasn't like the climax.
Yeah.
Like that it happened so early in the movie, and that that he set up this character and then just gone.
So that was what the writer of this movie did that impressed Hitchcock so much. Because he thought the problem with the film is that we just sit with Norman Bates the whole time, and he's kind of an unlikable character, and he's not that interesting. So the writer added the MacGuffin and of all this money, and this whole idea that we would follow her for a really long time, think she's the lead, and
it's
then
the bait and switch.
yeah.
Oh wow! So that was that not in the book then?
It doesn't seem like
Seems
it.
like he added her. Okay.
There's a character of Mary Crane in the book,
but not
and
the
she
whole
gets
plot with the
murdered.
money and all the like really building up a false story that does then drive the whole plot. But
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think there's a thing about Mary Crane, and they end up like going to the motel to try to find her, is how like it all unfolds in the book, it seems like.
Yeah.
But like building her this whole narrative arc seemed like it was his real
Oh, wow.
brainchild.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Norman was charming too.
He's so like
That actor,
So,
yeah, because he is like kind of cute, dorky, charming at
You
first.
just want to know more.
like I
Yeah.
get thinking of him as like the next James Dean when this came out. Like
Yeah.
he's so like he's
He's just
charismatic.
a natural.
And
He's
he's
so
handsome.
relaxed.
Like I'll say it. He's really
Yeah.
good looking. Like but then and yeah, God, he's such a good actor too.
Mhm.
Like the little stutters and
But that's like harder than it looks.
yeah. And the little like facial tics he's doing while he's like being questioned by the boyfriend is just he's
Yeah,
so
I sat there
creepy.
doing. It makes you want to like tick the whole time. I see his like temple move, and I just sit there. You can't see. Listener, I am moving my temple.
I think they could. I think they could hear it that time.
You looked just like Norman Bates.
Oh, thank you.
What a compliment.
What a compliment.
What's crazy is he's so good, but this movie did kind of ruin his career.
Oh no.
Because after this film, we were in like kind of a studio system typecast world where that's kind of what movies did, and that's how directors worked. They didn't think of actors as like people who put on characters and then put on a different character, you know, like we kind of do nowadays a little bit more. But like, so people saw him as Norman Bates, and they're like, oh cool, you play the weird like kind of sub creepy character.
So this killed his chance to be the next James Dean.
Yeah, it really did.
Mm.
And he says he doesn't regret doing it at all. And it even like really changed Janet Leigh's career in the sense that like she kind of became just like the person that gets murdered and stuff instead of being the star she was before this.
Wow.
And both of them say though that like they would have much rather had the opportunity to be in something great they'll be remembered for forever, as opposed to have like done a bunch of movies that everyone forgets.
Oh, it's very big of them.
But I think it's a really impressive film.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time you saw it? I'm just curious. Or if you don't even remember.
I don't remember the first time I saw Psycho.
Okay.
I have a very bad memory of most of my past. And so yeah, I remember like it's another movie my dad showed me at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think similar to like Sully's stories of like seeing like a bit of Silence of the Lambs and other things, like I saw pieces of Psycho when my dad was showing it to my sister, and he was like, no, you wouldn't be interested, this would freak you out, like you can't watch this with us. And it's like I saw pieces, and then finally eventually I got to see Psycho, and like kind of because of the first experience took away from the second experience. So I don't really remember seeing it for the first time.
I dig.
I don't remember being blown away, but like the fact that I've seen it multiple times, and I watched it today with the commentary,
Yeah.
and still watching it now sitting here with you guys, I was like my breathing elevated, my heart rate elevated, like I was getting tense
Yeah.
because the movie just works.
I mean, yeah,
Like,
I remembered it pretty well once it started, even though it's been a while since I've seen it. Once it started, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I remember this. But I still was getting very on edge at certain scenes. I'm pretty easily spooked, though.
Yeah. I think if I had seen it when I was younger, I would have been. This is sacrilege. I would have been bored at times.
I think that might have been what happened to me
I
too.
dig,
Yeah.
though.
I've been realizing like there's a lot of movies that I watched as a kid that I like didn't really get because like when people talk too long, I kind of just like tuned it out.
Yeah.
And so like there are westerns my dad showed me that I've like rewatched them and like, oh, like there's like a plot to
that's
this.
not how I remember it.
There's like a plot and people talk and there's like stuff that's important in this dialogue. Like, who fucking knew?
Like the car driving. Like I get it's her inner monologue and her worries and she's stressing about everything, but it's also just like, as opposed to all the dynamic shots that he has of everything else, it's just her looking straight at the camera.
Yeah.
Center frame though, like really like awkwardly center, which you don't do. So like like in cinematography, like that's a really weird framing for a person. So it does kind of like put you on edge looking at her in the center frame.
Yeah.
And they cut back to the road center frame, which is weird because like it makes it like this asymmetrical shot. And like this,
He had her center frame, I guess the sister center frame too, when she was walking up to the house, and then he was flipping around and cutting to the front door center frame, the same way he did the car in the road too.
yeah,
And with the guy when he was like walking up the stairs, the
Yeah.
detective.
Yeah.
he uses a lot of center
A lot of
frame,
center framing
which
of these
is
people when they're
not
alone.
typical
Yeah.
in filmmaking.
Yeah.
And that's just what creates the discomfort. Because you don't know as a
Yeah.
viewer. You're just like, why is this weird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a shot right at the end with Norman Bates where he like tilts his head down and then his eyes like look up and he
Yeah, and
smiles.
you
It's
see the
very
little
creepy.
skull teeth in the swamp.
And then a second later you see the skull teeth and that's like terrifying. That little juxtaposition that like you don't really notice but you do and like oh it's
Yeah.
beautiful. But that smile this time kind of caught me off guard in a weird way because so it's 1960. Stanley Kubrick's made like a couple of movies in Spartacus, Spartacus Paths of Glory and a couple other ones before that. But that framing of a shot and that smile in like film history is called the Kubrick smile. And I'm wondering if that's the first time it happens.
Yeah, you're right.
Because that's pre like Clockwork Orange. That's pre.
Which is the big one that's got that look
Yeah.
and shot.
That's pre like most of Kubrick's famous movies.
So you're saying the Kubrick smile shot was possibly stolen from Hitchcock if he didn't before
smile.
this? It's the Hitchcock smile.
It's the Norman Bates smile.
Yeah.
So that's just like I find that really interesting to
You have to scour
notice.
the internet now and say, does anybody else see this?
I'm gonna have to like watch Spartacus Paths of Glory again.
And make sure
the-
there's no
Just like,
smile in those since they
Yeah.
were before.
Gotta watch for this smile. It's very important. Also talking about little things that made people uncomfortable that you barely notice, like the like the face in the background and the center framing and all that. So this is weird trivia. This film is the first time ever in American cinematic history to see a toilet seat.
Toilet. You said that on another podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw it and I was like, there it is.
That's the
Yeah.
toilet. It's the first time they showed a toilet. It's the first time it flushed. And
And I gotta say, it was kind of gross. Like, in most movies that I see a toilet in now, like, even if they're going to puke, like, the toilet looks better. This one just looks kind of nasty.
I mean, it is a rundown motel no one goes to.
But, like, the seat was chipped. Like,
I love that you noticed just because, like, I didn't even notice.
yeah, I think it even had a water ring in it. Like,
it might
They're
have.
like, just don't clean it. It'll be better.
But Hitchcock and the writer discussed the idea of showing a toilet because no one had ever seen it. And they were discussing that, like, even if you don't know I've never seen a toilet on screen, you're going to feel like,
You're like, oh, that's
oh,
kind of grimy.
I don't like that. Like, do I feel weird when I see that toilet and that toilet flush? And it's because you've never seen it before. So they really, like,
Yeah.
thought of those little things that are just going to put you off in small.
Just have you as on edge as possible by the end.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder if anyone's grandma was like, well, I don't know about that film. There was a toilet.
Probably.
I mean, Walt Disney has said multiple times and like is like touted saying how much he hates that dirty film Psycho. And like he thought it was like a disgusting thing and like shouldn't have happened.
Oh.
Yeah. It's also like one of the first times like seeing a woman in her bra was a big deal in this
her
movie.
Blurred out boobies.
I mean, but the bra scenes, even like the two
Not
brassieres
just
you
the
see.
shower.
Yep.
There was a cutout shot, which is actually there's a couple documentaries that have the edited out shot of her starting to take her bra off when Norman watches, but censors would not allow that.
Oh.
So that one that got nixed.
Gotcha.
But I did think it was funny that Hitchcock talked about the fact that he cared about the color of the bra, and it was very important that
Yeah, like it was white in the beginning and then it was black
once
when she's
broken bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow.
They did have to find bras that were very covering though to make sure that they could
That the censors would let it
that
through.
the censors let the bras through. Hitchcock was famous for fighting the censors and like doing little things to like get things through.
Yeah.
So like he would do extra shots like taking off the bra, and they'd be like, "Well, you can't show that." And he'd be like, "Okay, cool. Well, like I can't show her take the bra off, but like I can show her in the bra, right?" And they're like, "Well, I guess it's better than her taking the bra off." And like,
Right, you give him the worst option
Yeah.
so we can backtrack.
So it is true, all the rumors and myths I've heard about this movie and Hitchcock in general of like purposefully giving scripts and footage to censors that had stuff he never intended to be in it
100%.
just to get by with what he wanted. Okay,
yeah.
that's great.
There was I think it was like his assistant or something was talking on one of the docs, and she was talking about her and Hitchcock and one of the like guys from the censor office watching Psycho for the first time. And they're watching the shower scene and like everything's going fine, and the shower scene happens and he like yells, stop the movie. And Hitchcock goes, what's wrong? And he goes, there was a breast. And Hitchcock's like, no, there isn't. He's like, I saw a breast. And he goes, you didn't see a breast. That's just your dirty mind. And so they then rewound it and they rewatched it like frame by frame to see if there was a breast. And he's like, no, see, I told you.
Disgusting.
You're just a pervert.
Oh my god.
The breast is insinuated. There's not a naked lady.
Oh my god.
He was very careful about it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So a thing that I didn't remember and that I just thought, this is completely kind of changing the subject,
That's
that
fine.
I thought was just like really impressive was that the entire like climax of the movie of the sister like finding the mother's body and going up to the house and whatever takes place in broad daylight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like this horror movie climaxes in broad daylight and is still just
Terrifying.
I'm so tense.
Yeah.
Even like knowing what's going to happen, and it's just full sunny beautiful day and I'm still just like my heart is racing. It's just like impressive.
Well, yeah, people still comment on that in other films like Midsummer. Like, wow, the whole thing is all in
Yes.
daylight and it's sunshiny and there's flowers and it's beautiful and it's terrifying.
Yeah, I
just
haven't
like
seen Midsummer,
So-
but I've heard incredible things about it, and people do. Yeah, they talk about the tension built during the day. It's still a thing that's impressive when someone builds.
Like, you can't hide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'll just deal with it. No, that is one thing about that I kind of like about horror films, because like I'll go into it and like I can't watch a movie without the very first time I watch something, I'm watching it like as an actor. It's like, this is a visceral practice. Let's see how I'm feeling, or like what is the arc, where are we at in the story, what are their objectives. And I'll find that you leave a film, like any kind of film, feeling a certain way based off of like what happened in
Yeah.
it. And there are sometimes with like these horror films, when they come out alive, I do feel like I'm expanding or strengthening my fortitude. Like I watched a few years ago, this movie called The Wind at Panic Fest. We're gonna take it away from Hitchcock for a moment.
Yeah.
And it was so it's like this female lead, and she undergoes like so much adversity in it. It's intense, and there were times where I was like, I don't think I could survive this. But you have to push through, because she does anyway. So then afterwards, I just felt like if somebody tried to mug me right now, I would literally break their nose. Like, I will punch you in the fucking neck. Like,
I can handle more. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've seen The Wind.
yeah, exactly. Or leaving I think I watched Infinity War and I almost got in a car wreck once. I saw this truck was about to T-bone me, but I was still in like superhero mode. So my reflexes were like just percolating, and I ended up Tokyo drifting out of the way.
Wow.
Just barely missing him. And then we like give off our flippant signs. And I started driving off again. And my partner at the time just looked at me and was like, how did you do that? I'm an empath.
Like, I just channeled Tony Stark. Felt like Black Widow could do it, so I could.
Yeah, so it's just interesting, like watching that. It can also be kind of a curse because then you start like falling in for the mind of like falling into that lunacy, like with Norman Bates, which can be a bit.
That is one of those things that, like, watching like Psycho, it like freaks your brain out because he does such a good job of making you empathize with Norman,
Right?
And then like you're like, oh, a boy's best friend is his mother, and you're like, oh god, like, do I want to kill my mom? Like,
Yeah, what's the deal with like mother-son relationships in his movies? Did Alfred have a bad relationship with his
I don't
Mom?
know about that at all. I
Okay.
do know that the writer of the film was in therapy for his like relationship with his mother while writing this movie.
Okay.
And so he said he drew on some of that and like
Did his mother live into old age or die suspiciously young?
I didn't look into him enough.
Maybe I don't want to know that.
Okay.
Yeah, so the screenwriter, he didn't call it therapy though. He called it something really weird in like all the interview footage I saw with him. He called it, I can't remember, but he was in some sort of Freudian therapy.
Yeah.
And like he was all like, yeah, the psychologist at the end, it's because like I know all these psychology things because I was in therapy, but he won't say therapy. So yeah, there's definitely some weird mother stuff. And like he does I think it's a good job actually in like the writing of, he talks about mothers like a lot at the beginning before you even get to Norman, to kind of like lay this groundwork for you of this like weird mother environment. I don't know. It's creepy.
Yeah.
But Norman's interesting and charismatic, and he likes candy corn. I like candy corn.
Oh my gosh.
Is that what that was? That's what he was eating? It was
Yeah.
candy corn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the bag when he's sitting there for
It's-
just a little bit, you can see that it's candy corn spelled 2 K's because it's cool.
Oh, I guess K for killer.
Exactly.
You know, but there are little things like even in the beginning when Marianne is considering, she's like packing her stuff and considering whether she's going to take the money. They keep her on the shot with like a photo of what I imagine are her parents staring at her the entire time.
Well, yeah, because she even discusses like the photo of her mom on the mantle when she like wants to bring Sam over for dinner. She mentions that he'll come over and have dinner with her and her sister. My mom's photo will be on the mantle, and then he's like, and after your sister leaves, we can turn the photo of your mother around. Like, there's this whole thing about mothers judging, and like when she gets to the office and talks to her friend, she's like, yeah, my husband called, and then my mom called to see if my husband called, and it's like there's all this like mother stuff to like lead you to like feel this like controlling gaze of the mother, and then you learn that there's a lot of weird stuff with Norman's mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so well executed though, both
Yeah, it was
in
really good.
cinematography, in editing, in the scripting of it, which like the script is nearly like exactly the script as written. They removed one scene that they didn't even shoot because Hitchcock knew as they started shooting, he was like, the script's too long, we need to cut it down. So they just cut down pieces of dialogue from each scene before they even shot it, and they pretty much shot the movie you see, besides the small things they added for censors.
Little gifts for the censors.
That's something I have heard about him, is just like his meticulous planning and like just knowing the script in and out before they even have a set.
I think it's also
And
part of just
I
like
love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
the experience of this being your 47th film.
Right. Yeah.
Like
That's
47 films in, you can be like, yeah, I already know this is going to be too long when we edit it.
yeah.
And this this needs to be changed here and this needs to be shot this way. Some fun trivia about that is that once they finished the film and they got it edited, Hitchcock and the writer both thought that it was bad. They both did not like it and they didn't think it worked anymore. And this is before the score went put in. But Hitchcock was considering releasing it as one of the episodes of his TV show. He was thinking of like just editing it down to be a TV show episode or like selling it to like a made for TV movie type thing. Cause he was like, we did a bad job.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they sent it over to their composer and they got the composed track back, Hitchcock rewatched it, was like, oh no, it's brilliant. And he doubled the pay that he was going to pay the composer, and he was like, "You fucking the movie's brilliant,
Thanks.
Perfect."
I definitely know that feeling, though, of how much music just can.
It can change a movie.
It's important. It's very important.
They had a lot of the straw noises.
It's all violin.
I know.
The entire score is all violin.
It's clearly not a McDonald's straw.
Are you sure?
Well, I don't know.
I mean,
I feel like we could do a good recreation with a straw.
We could.
The sound of like knife hitting body is just the sound of a knife stabbing into a melon. So like it could be a McDonald's straw. Yeah, melons. It's all about
because it doesn't make that sound. It's juicy.
Yeah, it's like hard, but it also like punctures.
Mm-hmm.
The blood is chocolate syrup.
It is.
Yeah, it is. They tried a bunch of different things, but because like it is black and white, Hitchcock only cared about like the viscosity and how it kind of like moved in the water. And he thought that like chocolate syrup worked the best.
I mean, it did look good.
Looked like hot chocolate.
No.
You put chocolate syrup in water to make hot chocolate, Sully?
Some people do. It's appalling, but I'm not one of them. I just want you to know that that's a thing. People do that.
I think some people put the powder in water, because that's what I do, because I'm lazy.
This wasn't the powder? I don't think it was syrup. It would be stickier.
No, this is syrup. This is the syrup, just straight out like Hershey syrup.
See, the Bugs Bunny clip that I saw, it was the powder. It was cocoa powder.
No, this is syrup.
Gotcha.
Bugs Bunny lied to you.
Okay. He's a rabbit, so.
Are you calling rabbits liars?
All rabbits. They're all
All of
liars.
them.
Oh, wow.
All right. I've got a lot of info about the like budget and how it was shot, kind of.
Okay.
And I've got a lot of info about just the shower scene. What do we want to talk about first?
We're on the subject of the flower.
The flower scene. Do the flower scene.
Shower scene.
So, Janet Leigh, there's all the story of like filming the shower scene was so hard and terrible and traumatic that she doesn't take showers anymore.
Yeah.
So the truth of the story, as told by Janet Leigh, is not that. It's actually that was all fine, but it was seeing the film and watching herself die in the shower and then feeling that like
someone was gonna come up to the shower and murder her.
Yeah, that, and then like being like, oh God, you are really vulnerable in there, aren't you? She never took showers again after seeing the film.
Wow. That's like when I was younger and I watched Arachnophobia when I should not have because I was too young. And this guy gets bitten while he's pooing. And then I was like, oh my God, that's terrifying. You're going to sit on a toilet. You're so vulnerable. I still use it.
Lolo is going to
never watch Arachnophobia.
Sully's done toileting. She doesn't use a toilet since.
I might be done too after hearing that.
Just squat outside.
Yep.
Because
She's
there's
a wood
fewer
squatter.
bugs outside than in my bathroom. Wait. That makes sense, though, that the movie scared her, but the experience didn't. Because, like, when you're on set filming something, like, it's never like the finished part. Like, if you're shooting something scary, it's stupid. If you're shooting something sexy, it's stupid. Like, no matter what you're doing, like, the experience on set is, like,
Yeah, because you're playing
ridiculous. Yeah, but, like, yeah,
like
the
it's
finished
kind of
movies.
dorky.
Acting's weird, guys.
It's so weird.
We did a talk back at No Coast, and they like asked, "What's your favorite aspect?" or something like that about
film. Yeah.
of filmmaking, or like what makes you keep doing it. And the guy before me gave this like really heartfelt,
It was really
beautiful
beautiful,
answer about
eloquent.
like telling stories and camaraderie and all that stuff. And then I just went, I like to play pretend. And filmmaking, I get to keep playing pretend with my friends. I just never quit doing that.
That's it, though.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So we're at the height of censorship in 1960, if we were curious, and as we obviously talked about a bit. So like nudity was just not in movies. It didn't happen.
It's amazing he got away with what he did in this.
It truly is. And like being naked on set even like wasn't a common thing. Like having to figure out how to be covered up during the shower scene.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
So Janet Leigh and the costume designer spent a lot of time, they're saying, looking through like magazines and such for like strippers to try to find some sort of thing to put over her tits to cover them while she was on set for like modesty's sake and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find anything in that because like Janet Leigh's like, because everything there had tassels on it.
Cut them off.
They ended up figuring out that like moleskin bandages, adhesive moleskin bandages would be what they wanted to use. So they like cut little like kind of bralette type things out of like moleskin bandages and like kind of taped her up all over her body in that. And yeah, like I was saying, in one of the takes, the steam of the shower did get to like in the moleskin and start relieving the adhesive.
Yeah.
It was during the shot that starts on her eye and they turn and pull back and all that.
Yeah.
And that shot was super complex. And she says that like while that was happening, she was thinking she could stop the take and like ruin it to fix her moleskin to keep her tit covered. Or she could just like let all the electricians see her boobs. And
She took one for the team.
she took one for the team. She
Nice.
did. She did. She did say that she thinks there were way more electricians than there should have been that day. Like, she's like, it seemed like there were like twice as many as usual.
They didn't have an intimacy coordinator.
Yeah.
No.
It wasn't
no.
a closed set for her comfort with the fewest staff possible.
It was like, I mean, the whole set was very secretive
Yeah.
for all of filming of Psycho because he did not want the ending
To get out.
or any of the
Sure.
reveals or the fact that she dies to get out even because he was selling her as the lead.
Right.
Like in the trailer, there's a shot of a different woman in the shower screaming.
Oh, wow.
The sister, the woman who plays the sister, is in the shower wet screaming and it says Psycho and that's the end of the trailer.
Holy shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he did not want.
So he also started the bullshit that Marvel has now done of having false shots in trailers and
I
differently CG'd shots in trailers.
Yeah, because Infinity War, they did that. I don't know if you knew that there's some shots in the Infinity War trailer that are different in the final film.
Like completely different.
Really?
Yeah. Like there's a shot of all of them in a different location. Isn't
Well, the
there?
biggest one is the Hulk is in the Infinity War trailer, but he's like having like erectile dysfunction of becoming the Hulk for that whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the final film, it's the Hulk Buster running there, but they just put the Hulk over that in the trailer so that you'd think the Hulk was in it.
Ah.
Yeah.
But so Hitchcock started it.
But yeah, Hitchcock started
He
it.
shot a completely different shower shot just for the trailer.
Yes.
Wow.
The trailer is amazing, guys. The Psycho trailer is phenomenal. It's just Alfred Hitchcock walking around and showing you the set of Psycho
Oh, I
I've
think I
seen
have
that.
seen that. Yeah.
and then telling you like, oh, right here at these steps, we just shot, oh man, a guy falls and the way his back is just I shouldn't talk about it too much. All right, let's keep going. And then like walks around and he just keeps doing stuff like that. He's like, oh, and this painting is so, well, let me show you this room over here. And he walks away from the painting that was the painting Norman Bates takes off the wall. And like, you know what I mean? Like he does
Yeah.
all these little like hints like, oh, this is really no, I can't tell you, I guess.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry about that. He's so cute. Oh my goodness.
Sassy.
Yeah. Shower scene facts.
Yes.
Shower scene facts.
Beyond Janet Leigh not being able to be nude and all that, Hitchcock wanted to be certain that they never would have seen inappropriate parts when they don't see inappropriate parts. And he thought the best way to do that would be to have a nude person on set So that way they would know, because then you would see the inappropriate parts, you'd be like, oh, I can't show those. Like, this is not a usable shot. So there actually was a nude body double.
So he had 3 nude women do separate shower scenes.
I mean, the one was just the one
God.
shot of just the face yelling in the shower.
Okay.
But yeah, so there was a nude photo double. It was Marley Renfro. She was a Playboy model. She was actually one of the first Playboy bunnies. Yeah. And they didn't want to, A, make Janet Leigh uncomfortable and having to be nude. And that way they could be certain that they didn't see nipples or anything, because there were nipples exposed and stuff.
Okay.
So that was another thing that they did.
Okay. So she doubled for just like some of the close-ups of the body, or
Yes.
okay.
Just some of them.
Gotcha.
Like it's a combination of both.
Both actresses
The actress naked
and the
bodies.
model.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
There's a shot real quick also, it's like from behind where you kind of see a lot of butt. That's the nude model.
Gotcha.
And there was a shot that was intentionally cut. That's a top down of the room where she's like naked and sprawled out and there's blood and she's dead. And this is a bit of fun trivia. There's a remake of this movie. They remade Psycho, directed by Gus Van Sant, starring Vince Vaughn.
Okay, keep going.
And it's pretty much a shot-for-shot remake in color.
Yeah. So is Vince Vaughn Norman Bates? Because I don't buy that.
Yes, he is.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, that's a choice.
Yep. And it's practically shot-for-shot, plus adding in a lot of the, like, talked about cut lines or cut, like, shots for censors and things like that.
Which
So
is
there's,
weird
like,
though, because a lot of that he planned to have cut. It was never meant
Yeah, they weren't
be in
meant
the
to be there.
movie.
I guess it's a passion project, and someone was just really excited, and that's good for them. That's like
That wasn't patronizing at
the
all.
motto. No. I don't know what it's like. It might be better. That might just be the motto of this whole episode, because I don't. If you want to count how many times I've said "good for them,"
Make it a drinking game.
good for them.
Yeah, I didn't see that when it came out because I was like, why would I?
I mean, it was also like the late 90s, so you were like 7.
Oh, okay. When I learned about it. Okay, well, I learned about it like 10 years ago, though. I didn't know when the fuck it came out. I learned about it a while ago, and I was like, I don't know. It sounds rude. I don't see the point in watching that because I had seen the original at that point. I was like, why would I watch a shot-for-shot remake?
Yeah, it was 98.
So is it still set like in the 60s? Or is it like a modern remake?
It looks like it's set in the 60s still.
Oh.
Based on the imagery, or maybe they're just like in bad clothes, because it is 98. Nobody had good choice in clothes. Oh no, it's probably set in 98.
Oh,
I'm looking
okay.
at stills right now.
Interesting.
Wow, William H. Macy's in it.
Oh, man.
I think we should watch it. Let's watch it right now, guys.
Oh, my God.
You can see on their, they said yes, their faces say no. If anyone listening is curious.
I just don't see the point.
Yeah, no, it's a weird choice to remake.
Yeah, well, because, like, I've not seen Bates Motel.
Mm-hmm.
But from the ads I've seen,
It's a prequel.
it's like, it's a completely different thing. Yeah, it's like before.
It's all a prequel.
Yeah, his mom is completely alive.
Okay. Gotcha.
For real though? Like for real?
Like,
for
are you
real?
certain that she's alive?
Because for like a lot of this movie, you thought she was alive too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the authority on this episode.
But like, Bates Motel looks cool because it's somebody's original idea inspired by this versus like, I don't know. I should stop shitting on the shot-for-shot remake. Next piece of trivia.
I mean, talking about people's original ideas, this movie did have 3 sequels.
Okay.
What?
I think I've heard of the second one.
Yeah.
Right? That's
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know this.
I didn't know there was a third.
Made all after Hitchcock had died.
Oh. What is What
They did cast
are they?
Anthony Perkins again, though. And he's in, like, all of them.
Is that Norman Bates?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Anthony Perkins. When you said that before we watched the movie, I wanted to say, like, I just thought of Parks and Rec, and I was holding that in, and it just came out.
Oh, Anne Perkins. That's incredible.
You beautiful, magnificent star being.
So what? Does he like break out of prison and start murdering people? What the fuck is it?
I honestly don't know. I think Vera Miles, who plays the sister, might be in one of them too. Lolo gave me a big head movement that nobody got to see.
Shocked and confused.
How
Yeah.
much later was that?
So Psycho 2 came out in 1983, so that is 23 years later. And yeah, Vera Miles and Anthony Perkins are both in it.
23 years later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to see that, but also I think I'm probably going to watch that. Like, I don't want to, but
You're curious.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty curious.
There's Psycho 3 here that's tagline is Norman Bates is back to normal, but mother's off her rocker again.
Oh my god. When was that made?
That would be 1986.
So 2 did well enough that they like
Yeah.
immediately turned around and did
Well, I mean,
3.
the 80s were a big time for, like, horror, so I bet someone was
Yeah.
just like, oh, I have a sick idea.
And then 1990 is Psycho 4, The Beginning,
Oh, 4, wow.
where
we keep
Norman
it-
recalls his childhood with his abusive mother while fearing his unborn child will inherit his disorder.
Who
What?
who had a baby with him?
Who is? That is a very good question.
But yeah, we're now in the peak of like slasher film, the golden era of slasher films, which was like between 73 and like 89, I think is what they consider it, something like that.
Okay.
It's early 70s to late 80s
Yeah.
is the peak of slasher. So it's the
Gotcha.
perfect time to come and revisit the original slasher Psycho,
True.
because we're making like 18 follow-ups to the Halloween movie, and they're making a million Nightmare on Elm Streets and Friday the 13th.
That's just crazy because I don't know.
And it all leads up to an episode we're going to do soon that we haven't recorded yet, which is you showing me Scream,
Yeah.
which kind of reinvents the slasher film and kind of ends the golden era by making fun of it.
You're right.
I'm
yeah.
very excited to show
But I've
you
never
that
seen
one.
it, so
Wow.
I just know like all the...
Yeah, that'll
the
All
That'll
the
be
scary movie one
upcoming
versions.
I've seen Scary Movie, yeah.
Yeah, I watched that way before any of those other horror films.
The scary movies are fun.
But yeah, so Psycho.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah. Or there's just one.
Or there's the one.
Or
There's
just
the one, and then the ones that people were afraid to make when Hitchcock was alive.
Yeah, they're like, oh, let's just ruin this masterpiece.
Yeah, but after yeah, way later. Way later.
Yeah. So, the shower scene.
Wow. Okay.
Oh man. Okay.
Tell us more.
So, the shower head,
Uh-huh.
when they show the shot looking at the shower head and there's like the water coming around it.
Yeah.
So, that shower head was made specifically for that shot because they could not get the camera and lens
Water,
wet
Yeah.
because they hadn't developed a system to do that. So they had to
Yeah.
build a special shower head that shot water around the camera.
And then they just chanced it. They were like, okay, hopefully it doesn't get wet.
I guess. Yeah.
I did think about that when I was looking straight into the shower.
Yeah.
Thought, wow, there's no water droplet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get the camera. Well, they couldn't get the lens wet, is how they described it in the thing.
Okay.
I don't know why they couldn't get the lens wet, but yeah.
That's the least
That's what I would think.
water damageable part of our camera. I feel like could be wrong. Like,
Maybe,
maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe we don't know how to use
Oh, I've
cameras.
definitely gotten the lens wet.
I mean, like,
Sometimes
one of the
you're filming outside and it rains.
guys was talking like, yeah, because we couldn't get the lens wet. Nowadays they can just like wipe that stuff off. And I was like, what do you mean they can? No. What happened in the old days when a lens got wet?
The camera shattered.
It just melted.
Yeah, it was all made of sugar glass. So
Okay.
there is a misconception rumor that Saul Bass, who he's the graphic designer that created the opening credits, and he was also like a creative consultant, is how he's some sort of listing like that for the movie. There's a misconception rumor that he directed the shower scene. But like literally Janet Leigh, the writer, one of the guys who was like a camera department guy, like all of them were like, no, Hitchcock directed that.
Okay, weird.
Yeah. They're like, that rumor is totally false. Saul Bass did extensively storyboard Psycho.
Oh, okay.
So he was like the storyboard artist for all of the stuff that like Hitchcock was doing, and he had Saul Bass like draw up ideas for things, and like Saul's storyboard shots do look a lot like what the final product looks like.
That's how you plan a movie, though. That's the point of a storyboard, is that's what you're gonna shoot.
Yeah. But I think he believed that because his storyboards were so good, he directed it.
Oh.
That's okay. That's weird. And okay.
He did direct one day on set, and there was one day where Hitchcock was so sick with the flu he felt like he couldn't come in.
Yeah.
So he called them, and they were like, oh, I guess we'll just cancel the day. We'll claim the whole day to insurance, and we'll be fine. Like, that'll pay for the day, I guess. They could do that.
What?
Yeah. Didn't know
Okay.
that. They're like, that'll pay for the day. It'll be fine. And he was like, no. Like, the storyboards are good. Just shoot to the storyboards. You guys are going to be fine. And it was supposed to be the shots of Abergast. Is that his name? What is his?
Arbogast. I think.
Arbogast?
Yeah, the
His
private
name
eye.
is spelled wild, and it's said even crazier. But the private eye walking up the stairs is what they're supposed to be shooting.
Oh.
And then Hitchcock came to set the next day, watched the dailies, and was like, oh, you did it wrong. So guess we get to redo that. So then he reshot all of it.
So they really should have claimed the day to insurance, because as it is, they had to pay for an extra day of shooting.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he said that they shot it like he was a villain. Because it was like close on the feet, close on the hand. They were like, you shot it like you'd shoot a villain.
Mm-hmm.
To shoot him, you need to shoot it in wides and more like mysterious, scary.
Well, that
things.
down angle, like he feels so like weak and like he's being preyed upon. So
Yeah.
he was probably right,
Yeah, I mean,
because it is shot so well, the final one. So
yeah.
that reshoot.
Yeah. And Hitchcock knows what he's doing, I guess.
Damn.
The shooting of the shower scene.
Yes.
So Janet Leigh was on set for only 3 weeks of
Okay.
filming to film the first 30 minutes. And 7 days of those 3 weeks were filming the shower scene. It took 7 days in a 12-foot by 12-foot room to film the 70 setups that were the shower scene.
That is a lot of setups.
Yeah.
It's a lot of setups, and
That's
like
a
there's
long time to be naked.
That too.
yeah,
Long
it
time
is.
to be wearing just band-aids. I feel like that's worse than naked in some ways. Just be taped up all over. I could be wrong. I'm not wrong.
I like that you for a second you considered being wrong, and you're like,
No.
100% I'm not.
No.
I've never been wrong. I'm not wrong now. But yeah, I mean, like, I get it. That's a lot of like lighting changes and very specific lighting, so you can't see the mother's face and like.
Well, yeah, you can't see you can't see who's stabbing her,
Yeah,
and you can't see anything that'll make the censors cut the scene.
yeah. You can't have nudity, and you can't
Yeah.
see mother.
You're shooting around
Right.
so much.
So and you can't get the camera wet.
You
or
can't get
it'll melt.
The lens will melt off.
So talking about the mother and trying to keep that all what.
I really thought you were gonna go the shower scene again, and then you didn't. I was kind of disappointed.
So the shower scene. I actually do have one more fact, but I want to do this fact before I get to that
Okay.
fact of the
Okay,
shower scene.
Okay.
So talking about the mother though, they were so concerned about secrecy and like wanting people to be curious on who the mother is and all of that, that Hitchcock spread rumors about who was cast as the mother
Oh shit.
and rumors about casting the mother, and they had agents calling the studio about getting cast as Miss Bates. And they even had a chair on set, like there was an actor's chair with Miss Bates across it on set that they sent set photos off to press with it. So people were thinking of like, oh, who got cast as Miss Bates? Did this person get
What
cast as Miss
famous
Bates?
actress?
Who is Miss Bates?
Man, he really.
But there is no Miss Bates.
He was like, Janet Leigh's the lead, and I've put someone famous as the mother.
Yeah. But like there are actually a couple of women that did technically play the mother, because on the voice, as well as on set in the shower scene, Perkins isn't there. He wasn't on set at all.
Oh, they had a woman.
There's a woman that's there on set
wow.
that day. Yeah.
Oh, that's a choice. Okay.
Yeah, he was actually in New York doing a Broadway play.
Oh, okay.
Well, they shot that.
Cool.
And then like the body that he carries off is also not Janet Leigh's body. That's a stunt performer's body.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because you're going to wrap him up in plastic. So if you're going to kill someone, might as
You
well kill a stunt
someone,
performer.
not
Right.
someone disposable. Yeah.
So what's the with him? He picked up his mom's dead body. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. When he was going down the stairs. Okay.
And yeah, exactly. Yes. That's his mom's taxidermied body because he's a taxidermist.
I know. That's another thing, man. They're villainizing taxidermy.
But they don't villainize transvestites because they say he's
I know.
not
They
a
did
transvestite.
kind of explain that in the least offensive way for the time.
It was
I agree.
surprisingly.
I was cringing. I was preparing myself, and then he finished his
Yeah.
sentence, and I thought, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that I would have expected that to be a lot worse. That sentence, and then it was like, oh, well, okay, yeah, for 1960, that was surprisingly just kind of circumvented.
Very specific use of words.
Yes. Which that was a word that the censors did not want. They thought you couldn't say that word, and then the screenwriter was like, actually, that's a scientific word in the field of psychology. And so we had to like look it up in the dictionary, and that's what it said. It was like the psychological word for this, this, and this. And they were like, dang. I guess you can say transvestite. Like,
Wow. Jeez.
yeah, it was a fight to say that, which is a word we don't use at all anymore. So interesting.
Yeah.
This is another fun bit of jargon, because we always talk about fridge logic on this show, which is a Hitchcock term for things you think about when you like are home and looking into the fridge and you're like, oh fuck, that thing didn't make sense.
Plot holes you don't notice until later. To simplify it,
it's a
fridge
Hitchcock
logic.
term. Here's a new Hitchcock term,
Oh,
Okay.
which is a hat grabber.
hat grabber.
Hat grabber.
What is a hat grabber,
Now
Patrick?
he really believed the psychologist scene was going to be a hat grabber.
Does that mean like? Can I guess what it means?
You can.
You grab your hat to leave.
That's when the audience grabs their hat and leaves. And just leaves with, like, they don't care to see the end. It's gotten too boring. It's a hat grabber. You grab your hat and you get the fuck out of that theater.
I mean, yeah, after how the rest of the movie's been. I mean, like, it's not a bad scene, but, like, you're like, oh, okay, the movie's over.
Right.
Yeah. He does just kind of sum up the movie again.
But then you miss the cool ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, you missed the Kubrick Hitchcock smile, which that is it's a very strong finish after we rehash the whole movie in a monologue.
That last little like internal monologue is so good and so scary. Like, I'm not even gonna hurt that fly. They're gonna watch and look at me. Oh,
It's really
Okay,
good.
don't think of me badly. But when I was a kid, I would let flies, if one landed on my arm, I would just let it walk around. So when I saw that, he said, I'm not even going to hurt that fly. And I started second guessing myself.
Did you start wondering if you were like Norman Bates?
Like, how would I know?
Sully, is your mother still alive?
Yeah, my mom's alive.
Are we sure?
Can I get a second person to say that they've seen and spoken with your mother?
Yes.
No, she doesn't let anyone speak to her mother, Patrick.
My mom's just really private. Sorry, Mommy.
No, I think not murdering bugs is generally a good sign in a
Okay,
human, so I
thank you.
wouldn't worry.
Yeah. I'd be more concerned if you were taxidermy.
I
things.
Uh-oh.
Have you?
No,
Are
but
you into
I've
taxidermy?
almost done that a couple times in the last few years. I've looked into classes. That's why I was so offended. I was like, I'm not a creep.
Oh no.
Just want to save a few fetal rabbits or something. It's not. It's
It wouldn't be saving them.
no. Saving their already. Oh my God,
Like
there's no
keeping
right
them.
way of saying this. It's also
Preserving them.
sustainably
Preserving them.
sourced, I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, you're right. Preserving them.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Saving and preserving are kind of the same thing. They are. They
I
are
guess they're
kinds of
synonyms.
synonyms. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
You...
I regret this. Not just this podcast, this whole friendship. I'm getting nervous.
I'm very sorry they insulted your potential future hobby.
Oh man. Well, now I don't know.
Well, I mean, it was more than a hobby for him.
It was. Yeah. It filled all the time.
Yeah.
Aside from killing is his hobby.
Yes, true. Because he's done it before too.
That's okay. So that's what I really like about this movie is that because I haven't seen any of the other Psycho sequels. I haven't seen Bates Motel. I haven't seen anything else. But watching this film, you do fill in so many thoughts and details in your own little brain, and you start making all these other thoughts. And when you see them pull the one car out of the swamp, you're like, oh fuck, they're gonna pull a bunch of cars out of that swamp. Or and even though he only says that there are 2 more missing women, you're like, no, there's more.
It's a
there's-
motel.
There's 2 they know of from that town.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't know how many people from other towns.
And that's something that Hitchcock talked about, and the other people the docs were talking about, is that what he thinks makes this film so good is that they do leave out enough that it engages the audience to fill pieces in, seeing her boobs. You don't see her boobs, but you kind of fill in the fact that you think you've seen her naked by the time she's dead. And all these things that your brain is filling in, that's putting you in an engaged seat into the narrative, thus forcing you to be a part of it. And that's why you like it so much.
That's why it's such a dirty film.
I mean,
Disney was like, I don't need to see this.
That's evil work in there.
Oh my gosh. So just because you were saying I mean, obviously this film in Hitchcock has inspired everyone ever, blah blah blah, but well, no, just to cite a couple of things I've seen, because you were saying Spielberg and Jaws and all that was very inspired, but he does in both Duel, that was his warm up for Jaws, and then in Jaws just never show you anything. In Duel, you never see the driver.
You don't see the driver.
You
once.
never see the driver that's hunting
Duel's
him.
a cool movie.
Okay.
There's this guy being hunted by this trucker, but you never see the driver of the truck ever the entire movie. And then in Jaws, you most of it you don't see the shark, and it's just a very
There are the shots in Duel where you have the lead guy center frame sitting at the diner thinking through these internal monologue thoughts
and panicking this fake
and freaking out about all these things he's building in his head. It's the scene from Psycho.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you show too much, you lose the mystery, but then you're also able to just associate it with oh, it's a movie. I'm making this. Whereas with Jaws, people are terrified of being in the ocean because they're I don't know what's there.
Yeah.
It could be there. It could.
Yeah.
It's the unknown that's scarier.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of why the first Halloween works also, is because Michael Myers is this behemoth creature that you know nothing
When
about.
he's an unknown factor still in the first one, the first time you see it.
Yeah. And I think that's what kind of makes it worse as you keep going, is that the more they investigate it.
Yeah, you know too much, and even for a lot of people, I think seeing it the first time, you know
Yeah.
too much.
But so just to mention again, the doctor in Halloween, his name is Loomis. Just like Sam Loomis from Psycho.
Oh,
He stole the name.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Steal like an artist.
Truth. So when audiences saw this film,
Mm-hmm.
it was obviously a big deal, and they loved it, and they were forced to watch the whole thing. And all the people that were involved making it, they were talking about one of the greatest things sitting in the theater with audiences was this is one of the first times for like a quote unquote grown up movie that people were like talking to the screen and yelling at it. Like they were like, oh, it's like little kids at like the cereals and stuff. Like no one was doing that. And then during Psycho, they're like, don't go in there, don't do, okay, like they were like yelling at the screen, and that was like part of like the phenomenon of Psycho, which I thought was really cool.
That is.
But critics initially did not like this movie.
It's a lot to take in into your paradigm if you're not used to that.
Yeah.
They also were forced to take it in with audiences the day it came out. They did not do critic screenings. They did not get early screenings. They did not get screeners of any kind.
So they were also just like a little butthurt, probably.
Yes.
Their feelings were hurt. They didn't feel special.
They had to go see it with general audiences, with everyone else, and they were not a fan of that.
You know what? I think that should just be a thing. I don't think movie sales should be potentially hindered by critics.
Yeah, that's why like I don't look at really any critic reviews.
Well, I don't look at them either, but like they come out way before a movie, which is like weird.
Yeah.
And it makes a big difference when you're seeing it with the audience, like how they react to it.
Yeah, because if
as
you're
a-
experiencing,
As a critic, you might just be like desensitized to certain things.
Also, like seeing a movie with people, I think that's like how it's supposed to be seen. Kind of like theater, like the magic of theater isn't just the give and take between like the actors on stage and the audience there. It's the audience becomes its own like group think
Hub.
collective of emotions and empathy. And so like seeing a comedy alone, you don't laugh out loud because you're not laughing necessarily because it's funny. Like you're laughing for others and with others in a weird way because it's this like group catharsis
Yeah.
that you experience.
I really miss when they actually had midnight premieres, which was not so long ago.
Me too.
Because I loved going to midnight premieres when it was full for any movie, for the
Right.
superhero movies, for Harry Potter, because it was really cool to, see it with a full house. But now the midnight premiere starts at like 4 p.m. the day before, and there's so many showings, it's never full.
Yeah, like when we saw Shang-Chi, we saw it opening night
Yeah.
at like 9 o'clock, and there was 12 people in the theater.
Yeah.
Like,
And like it did a good opening weekend, but there were showings every half hour starting like that Thursday at 4, so it just
every half hour.
it's impossible to have that experience. Which right now with COVID is good that you're able to be
Space
so
out.
spaced out still. But I'm just saying in general, that died before COVID started though.
Yeah. So the shower scene.
Oh goody.
There's so much info about the shower scene. Originally, Hitchcock had envisioned the shower scene being scoreless
Oh.
and just being a full silent, like tense moment. And the composer, Bernard Herrmann, decided to go ahead and score it because he believed it needed something.
Yeah.
And on first watch, Hitchcock immediately changed his mind and said that was perfect and loved it and da-da-da. And the rest is history, I guess. Everyone knows the straw pulling out of a McDonald's cup sound.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. It's fine.
Lolo
That's
did it.
perfect. No, Lolo did it, and she did it better than I ever could.
Oh.
So,
You're such a flatterer.
We don't like to rate art, saying one's better than others. So, like, if your art, like, you can do your art just as good, maybe. Who knows?
right. I want to give you the spotlight on that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I adore both of you. You're so fun.
So the shower scene.
I don't think I have any more trivia
That's it.
about the
He's
shower
done.
I
scene.
just wanted to say it once, I guess.
Yeah, I'm out of shower scene.
I was
that's
a little
okay.
annoyed that she had to subtract $700 from $40,000. Come on.
Women can't do math, Sully.
She also subtracted the price of the room.
Oh.
And I think,
He didn't tell her the price of the room yet.
yeah, but there was more on that than just,
Oh, she's been buying stuff.
apparently.
Stop at the gas station.
She spent the
get
10 cents on
some
the newspaper.
water and 10 cents from 40,000. She didn't just have a dime in her pocket. She could just, oh, this one's on me.
Maybe she's thinking of other things. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
They needed to show a toilet.
I got
okay?
it. Yeah, I got it. You would never know. How would her sister know she was there?
Exactly.
Yes.
If she didn't pick a piece of paper out of the toilet bowl.
I mean, he cleaned that thing so hastily. There could have been blood.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But they needed to see
That's
the
me
toilet.
nitpicking.
But like in 1960, like
No one thought.
finding blood wouldn't have done them much good anyhow, would
No.
it? That was like
It's a bathroom. If you're gonna bleed, it's in the bathroom.
Yeah, truth. So Hitchcock wanted to test how frightening mother, quote unquote, the prop mother was. And so apparently he really liked to pull a nice little prank on Janet Leigh by putting the mother in her dressing room.
oh no.
And so when she would like open the door, just like be there, and then he would gauge like how scary it was based on her scream. And he tested different mothers till he got to the one that he thought was the loudest scream, and that's the mother they used in the movie.
You know, I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like that wouldn't be a great test on me because I feel like I would get scared like the first 3 times and then I would just be mad.
Janet Leigh said it made her jump every time, and she
Okay.
also thought it was funny though. Like so, like she was like he was just like a little trickster. Like
Oh my god. That's awesome.
yeah,
And she kept falling for it.
Okay, you know, I'm going to have to take back what I just said
yeah.
because we used to have a life-size cutout of Leonardo DiCaprio that Patrick loved from
I
The Great
did.
Gatsby, and it was in the office for a while,
Lived in the
and then it was
office.
downstairs. And
For a bit, he was in our front window too. I just like let him be a silhouette in our front window. It was kind of creepy.
Like Home Alone, no one's gonna break in.
Like Home Alone, or like
just
Mother.
like Norman Bates, and it scared me like so many times.
She made me get rid of
Especially in
him.
the dark, you know, if I'm
Oh,
like walking
no.
in and I'm flicking on the light.
Grown man.
And it did scare me so many times we had to get rid of our life-size Leonardo DiCaprio. So I guess I shouldn't have made fun of Janet Leigh for being scared every time. I guess that was bullshit. I would be scared every time.
Yeah, you would.
My oldest niece is a big Doctor Who fan, and one year for Christmas I gave her a cardboard cutout of a weeping angel.
Oh,
And she was like, it's
God.
kind of creepy. I don't know. It's like, it's fine. It's
Yeah, I don't think I could handle
And then
that.
every time I would come over, she had him like hidden behind her dresser or something. So I would like put the angel in her closet and just shut the door. And like sometimes, usually when I go visit my family, I don't let them know in advance. I just arrive. So she wouldn't know that I was in town.
Oh,
She would just
God.
like walk in her room and you'd hear her scream. She's like, is Sully here?
I'm so scared of the weeping angels. That would be so
I'm
terrifying.
sorry.
I don't think I could sleep with one of those in my room.
No, she ended up folding it in half. It's
a
just
good
like it
choice.
was nice while it lasted. I just can't anymore.
That's fair. Burn it. I mean, what?
Yeah, too scary. Oh, goodness gracious. So this movie had a very low budget. It's very, very small budget, actually. It was less than $1 million. It was $807,000 to be precise, which was for a handful of reasons. Partially, we've got Hitchcock is coming off making both Vertigo and North by Northwest, which were huge budget pictures, these big set piece things. And he kind of wanted to pare that down. And he wanted something a little bit more just like basic in narrative and told through good storytelling.
No more
instead of-
airplane chases and hanging off the face of Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, one of the most expensive things he wanted to do actually ended up failing, which was he wanted this big helicopter shot that like showed the whole city and then went up into the window, but instead it became like the 4 shots the opening is. And he seemed like he was happy with it in the end.
Yeah, it works.
So that's one reason. Also, Paramount, this is the last film he made with Paramount.
Oh,
He was on his final like film under contract with Paramount for this before he moved to Universal, I think. And it was actually funded, quote unquote, by Paramount, shot with his TV crew from his TV show on the Universal lot with actors from both Paramount contracts and Universal contracts. So he kind of like got to play with the best of both worlds in that in a little bit of
He
ways.
had like one foot on either side of the line for this one.
Yeah, yeah. And then Paramount ended up selling the rights to the film eventually to Universal. So like it
Okay.
it kind of had its own little like weird
All right.
studio-ness to it.
Yeah.
But Hitchcock said that he really wanted it to be low budget. He wanted it to be black and white. He had become interested in low budget horror and these like B horror movies.
Oh.
And he was noticing that like they were made for very little money and they made a lot of money. And he was like, what if one of these bad horror movies was made by a good filmmaker?
I thought you were going to say, what if one of these bad horror movies was good?
That's kind of what he was like, what if a good filmmaker was able to make a good one on these low budgets? Like, what would happen?
Yeah.
And the answer is Psycho.
Wow.
But like Paramount did not think that the movie was going to do well. And they...
Which is insane because he's made 47 movies.
46. This
And
is
he's
47.
just come off of Vertigo and North by Northwest. And they were still like, fuck Hitchcock. It's going to flop.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure I had that straight.
You're perfectly correct. That's
Okay.
exactly... Yeah, that's...
Great.
But so they thought the movie was going to fail. So Hitchcock said he would put up the predominant part of the budget, and he would even forego his regular salary of $250,000
Oh.
if he could get deferred payment on the back end at a larger scale than normal. And Paramount was like, yeah, this movie's going to fucking flop. Great idea. So he got a deferred salary of 60% gross.
What? They were that sure it was going to flop?
Yeah.
They gave him 60%.
Yeah. And he ended up making $15 million on the back end.
That's a happy story.
Yeah.
Fuck Paramount.
Yeah.
I don't see why you would take that gamble against Hitchcock 47 films deep.
Yeah,
Like-
someone got fired.
Yeah, Paramount was glad to be done with him after that. They're like, oh, fuck, he really fucked us there before he left. He tricked
No,
us.
they fucked themselves. He just wanted to make a movie and they said, it's going to suck. And he was like, you
Yeah,
want
I was
to
like,
bet on it?
Watch me.
And then it did, but then he got the score in and it was okay.
Maybe he was shitting himself at that point. He's like, man, they were right.
Yeah, he was like, shoot, I just lost $250,000.
More than that, because I spent $800,000. It's like, fuck, I lost $1 million. Okay, cool.
That's why he doubled the composer's salary, because it was way better than...
Yeah. He was like, oh, it's going to make money. Here, just have more. Like, it's going to be fine.
Thank God.
Yeah.
That's great.
Because it's pretty much exactly his TV show's crew on the crew of this.
Okay.
And besides the editor, that was the only thing he kept from his like regular movie
From
crews.
Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Yeah, it's the Alfred Hitchcock Presents TV crew. And because of that, they shot a lot of scenes on 2 cameras at once,
Yeah.
which was unheard of for film at the time. But
That's how you shoot TV.
That's how you shoot TV. Exactly, yeah. They were used to shooting their TV show in black and white multicam.
Yeah.
So they just...
Save a lot of time and money.
Yeah, which they needed to.
Yeah.
Because they had no budget. I thought it was really interesting that, like, yeah, so it's 1960 and we're still shooting everything single cam for movies, which, like, stuff's still mostly done single cam, but, like,
Yeah.
a lot of times we now have a lot more cameras on large film sets. But, like, before that, like, Rashomon did it in 50, and then 10 years later he does it in Psycho. I want to know
Yeah.
when, like, we moved to having a fuck ton of cameras on film sets.
I mean, I feel like it's still, with the exception of movies that have like huge scenes and explosions and they want to make sure they capture it, I feel like most mid to low range movies are still single cam movies. I could be wrong. I feel like that's still like the trend for like...
I don't know. I just know that Mark Maron on his podcast talks all the time about being on set and not knowing which camera is the one looking at him. So it makes me assume that there are multiple cameras.
He also does a lot of TV.
He does a lot of TV. And he also does a lot of indie movies, which I think are doing these large like setups with a lot of coverage. Or like improvised stuff.
True.
Like I'm sure that Sword of Trust, which is a largely improvised film, you've got to have
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
multiple cameras covering that.
Yeah.
Or else the scene doesn't work.
Like, do that again. The same way.
Improv
Make it
again.
fresh.
Yeah.
True.
Because like comedies often do 2 to 3 cameras, so you've got the coverage and the wide.
For anything. You're right.
For-
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong.
Yeah. Also, this is a weird piece of trivia that like I don't know if it's interesting or not to anybody except for like you, myself, and Sam Toddy. I just feel like Sam would really like this bit of trivia, and that's that pretty much the whole movie is shot on a 50mm lens
Oh.
because he felt like that felt the closest to, and like a lot of people say it's the closest to like what you're like when you're focusing on a thing, your eyes
Your
look like.
gaze.
Yeah. Your gaze is like 50mm apparently is kind of what they were thinking. And so they're just like, it's all like they'd bring it in on 50 and they bring it out on the same 50.
Whoa.
And like watching it today, you kind of do feel the way that like the frame hits and the way that things are like
I mean, yeah, like
pressed up against each other.
it feels really different whether you're far away shooting on a 50 or up close shooting on an 18. Like it's a very different, or even 50 to 35. Like it does feel different. So that's super interesting.
It's also like so much work to never change the focal length because like
You're moving the camera around so much if you're not changing lenses. It's
every
fucking
shot
exhausting.
and it all has to work on that 50mm lens no matter how close or wide you are, which is so much work. But it does, like, it has a feeling.
Yeah.
And I thought Sam would like that because he loves shooting on his 50mm lens.
I mean, I like our 50 a lot too. It's my favorite lens we have.
I like the 35.
I like the 50.
I know you do. But you and Sam, like, you're
I like the 50. We just often are, as indie filmmakers, shooting in spaces too small, like in our house or in apartments, to use a lens that's that close and see anything except an eyeball.
New camera, we're going to have an 85. It's going to be super useful in small places.
It's going to be super useless.
In 2019,
Yeah.
Psycho was the oldest movie released to have an R rating.
Oh.
Because, so the film came out 8 years before the MPAA rating system was put into place. When the MPAA went through its, like, first, like, conceived ideas and the letters it had, it was totally different lettering than we do right now. And it was given a M rating for mature.
Okay.
When the current system got put in place, M immediately just became PG-13 is kind of what it became. So Psycho was PG-13 at first.
Okay.
And then they revisited that and went back and gave it the R rating that it currently has. Which is weird because it doesn't have nudity. It doesn't have language.
Yeah.
It's got 2 murders.
But technically no gore,
And really no gore.
I would argue.
Aside from a taxidermed mom,
True.
if they count that.
True.
Yeah.
But
But like compared to like the normal standard for R ratings, it is like kind of surprising.
Yeah.
I mean, it is very like disturbing and I would not show it to a child, but just based on how other things are rated, it's surprising.
Yeah. But like your brain fills in a lot.
Yeah.
And that one censor, he saw a boob.
He did.
Was
Dirty
it-
pervert.
the rating is in your mind.
True.
How
What you
bad the
see in
movie
your
is.
head is like NC-17.
So to get back to Hitchcock and actors,
Oh, boy. Okay.
Oh gosh.
because we were talking about it earlier,
Yeah.
and we kind of mentioned the quote, which I love, is I didn't say actors should be treated like cattle. I said they are cattle is a Hitchcock quote.
Yes.
That's phenomenal. And there are a lot of other things, and we discussed it earlier, his treatment of actors. He talked to Janet Leigh when he first cast her and pretty much said, I hired you to do your job, and I have faith you'll do your job. And he pretty much doesn't give notes as a director unless he thinks you did something wrong. And I remember there's a trivia about somebody, I don't remember.
I've heard about Doris Day
Yes.
on set for The Man Who Knew Too Much, saying that the first I don't know if it was the first couple days of shooting, the first week, I don't know how much time, but that at first working with him, she was terrified and she thought Hitchcock hated what she was doing and hated her because he like never spoke to her. They had shot multiple scenes and he'd like never spoken to her. And then she found out at some point, I don't know if she talked to Hitchcock or somebody else on set told her, but she learned that no, he only gives direction if he doesn't like what you're doing. He thinks you're perfect if he's not speaking to you.
And so that was how he felt about it. But so he told Janet Leigh that the only thing that matters is that my camera is absolute and my camera is the focal point. If my camera moves and I need you to move, I need you to find that motivation. If you need my help, you can ask me and I will help you find that motivation to get you to move. But that is what matters, is my camera and what it's looking at.
Okay.
So that's how Hitchcock felt about it. And like I listened to him talk to Truffaut and he was talking about how like the magic of Psycho isn't anything beyond the fact that with images and his camera, he's able to elicit a response and a reaction.
So he didn't really give credit to his actors ever.
He's like, it's not performance, it's not story, it's with the images and the way they're sequenced together elicits a reaction.
So who did the casting? Because, this could have been a completely different picture.
Yeah. I mean, the sister is in this movie only because she was supposed to be in Vertigo, but because she was under contract with Paramount to do so many pictures and with Hitchcock to do so many pictures, and she was supposed to be in Vertigo, but then she got pregnant and Hitchcock was like super pissed with her apparently because she couldn't be in Vertigo, and then they were doing Psycho and he was like, well, I guess I'll just use her because I've already got her under contract.
Her.
Yeah.
So the beauty of the film had nothing to do with Anthony Perkins or
Anthony Perkins.
Janet
Anthony
Leigh's
Perkins.
incredible performances.
Apparently not.
Interesting.
It's just his camera.
I didn't know. I thought they were like really talented, but I guess I'm wrong.
But I mean, I agree. I think the acting is incredible.
I also think it's shot incredibly and the editing is phenomenal. I don't think he's wrong about those being good. I just think he's wrong about that being the only thing that's good.
Yeah, but I think there are directors that operate in a way where their main focus is like, okay, my camera is looking, it's this shot, then this shot, then this shot, and like Sam Totti. I love him. He's one of my best friends. But that's how he thinks also in film, is that like it's about the shot. And he doesn't really care how the actor like does the thing the actor does.
I think there's a difference though between what your like focus and skill is, because I feel like I'm also more of a technical visual director than being great at like working it sounds terrible, but working with actors or like directing and helping find that motivation. But I don't not appreciate actors or recognize them as being,
I agree,
ultimately possibly the most important part of it. Like, you know, like I'm better at the visuals than the acting side of things, but I still like
but like
feel like the actor is important.
With the viewpoint that like my camera is the focal point, like you're going to make sure every shot is visually exactly what you think it should be. So every piece of every frame is going to matter.
Yeah.
And it does in Psycho. Like it's all important. And the way he
Yeah.
frames everything's important. And then the acting on top of that is superb. And I think that's what makes it, and the script is really good. And I think that's what makes it a great film overall, is all those things came together in the score. And
I mean, just to argue both sides of it, I have definitely seen and even shot stuff where like I've seen good acting be ruined in how it was shot and in the editing. Because if you shoot even good acting poorly, it doesn't come across well. So like you do, but also like you can shoot something beautifully, and if the acting is shit, the acting is still shit. Like you do need both. You need both, I guess is all I'm saying, for it to be a good piece.
my camera's the end all and be all. It is the focal point. If you need help with motivation to move when my camera tells you to move, I'll help you.
You're being a butt.
I mean, it worked for Hitchcock, so I think I'm changing
No,
my
it
whole.
worked for Hitchcock because he had incredible
He had
actors.
a great group of people. I mean, I will say it's nice to work with a director that knows what they want and will tell you if, you're doing something that's contrary to the way he wants something to be portrayed. But it's also...
He or she?
Yes. I meant that in like the grammatical, I guess,
I know.
ancient grammatical now. But, what was I saying?
Yeah, that tells you what they want.
Oh, yeah. But if they, sometimes you're like asking an actor to act outside of their own intuition. And I think that's something that we can appreciate with this is like these guys just came in and they know what they're doing. They're great. And he trusts them to do what they need to do. So long as they don't fuck up his shot.
Yep.
Which, I mean, that is like a challenge though that I think like film actors, with the camera being the be all end all, with film do have to be able to. And I've seen on so many film sets, not even just one of the directors being difficult, but like if you're like, this is where the camera has to be for this shot, you have to hit that mark. Like, you can't just always act it even the same way you did from a different angle. You have to hit different marks for different angles with different lenses. Like, you do have to be able to act around the camera.
That's like exactly what Janet Leigh was saying, is she was saying that like she thinks a lot of people probably heard it and were like, oh, he's an asshole, he doesn't care. But she was like, I took it as a challenge. I took it as an acting experiment and challenge, and I rose to it, and I think that I did a great job. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it is all about like kind of the way you view it and the way you frame it in your own mind also.
Yeah.
Because you can frame somebody as a dick, or you can frame them as someone who does want the best for a thing and they just have their own weird way of getting it. And I think that is like Hitchcock in a nutshell though, is like as a person, is that it's maybe in the framing of it. Like,
Yeah.
because you can easily frame Hitchcock to be this like weird kind of masculine with some just like odd treatment of women, and like he's kind of an asshole and he's full of himself and all these things. Or you can frame it as he's this like eccentric, kind of playful, kind of strange, very sure of himself person. Like, I don't know. I think it's in the framing of it maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know him. I've never met him.
Me neither. Come to think of it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going off of like interviews where you take single statements to create this image of who this person is, it's much different than having a crew or actors who work with him on a day-to-day basis and have a better understanding of him. But I wouldn't say, I don't know that I would go with one particular framing. Just understanding that they're multifaceted.
Yeah.
And all of it applies. You can be a genius and still be a dick.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think that's the thing, is that like humans are multifaceted and they are like all these things. Like, I mean, even like Norman Bates, he is a murderer and he is insane. But he's also really charismatic and very handsome. He's multifaceted. He really likes candy. I like candy. No.
Patrick's in love with Norman Bates.
Just a lit, like just a small, just like a little bit.
The fact that you didn't say no.
Not in like a like creepy like white girl serial killer way, but like a little bit in a like
I want to
creepy
get
way.
to know you a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you want to change my sheets?
Look, if he like wasn't gonna kill me, like if he wants to like watch me undress, like that's fine.
Gotcha. Yeah, so not in a weird way at all.
No, not weird.
Oh, cool. I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yeah. Doesn't it like the film has like all these like voyeur motifs? Like obviously like Norman Bates is a voyeur, but like trying to shoot it on that 50 like kind of creates this like you're the voyeur, and it starts with like you coming in the window of like somebody else's intimate moment, and like it kind of feels like, oh, you could just like look into any window and like it could be one of a million stories, and like that you could be watching, and like Rear Window he'd already made, and so like it kind of like plays on Rear Window. It's just
he'd already made Rear Window too, and Paramount was like, this movie's gonna flop.
I'm almost certain he'd already done Rear Window, but
what the hey?
yeah, 54 was Rear Window. That's forever ago. I'm sorry Paramount didn't believe in him, Lolo,
I'm
but it
just
made him rich.
perpetually blown away by studios just like basically just like dumping successful people.
Yeah.
Just like believing people can't continue to do good work. So many stories of that, I feel like. It's just annoying.
I feel like almost every other episode we have a story.
Mm-hmm. Where they're like, yeah, they made all these successful things, and then the studios and producers, everyone was like, yeah, we're done with you.
Like,
Yeah.
we gotta get rid of him before they start to suck.
Yeah.
But maybe 47's the bad one. Turned out it wasn't, and then now after that he did Birds, so that was also pretty good.
I'm happy.
guess.
I'm happy for him. I'm happy it worked out for him. It's just not. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, it's super weird.
I think I liked Birds better.
Yeah?
Yeah, I
haven't
really
seen
do.
the bird.
I haven't seen it in
So-
forever.
What's the deal with the birds? Because he has a lot of birds in this one, and her name is Crane. He has like the giant owl, which I thought represented his mother, and then like the raven when he's like going, you see a little bit of his madness when he's like just on the edge of becoming mom, and he's like fighting it to talk to her about his mother.
I don't know what's the deal with all the birds and the bird imagery in it, and then making the birds next.
And the bird
honestly.
frame falling when he finds out what he's done,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what his mom's done.
Yeah.
a
He
lot
didn't
of
do
birds.
it. Mother did it.
Mm.
Yeah, I have no clue. There's a lot of people that have like, and a lot of critics have written things about like the bird motif and like what the birds might mean and what they could stand for. And I don't know.
Nothing definitive.
Yeah, nothing that is said by the writer or by him.
Gotcha.
So I
Everyone
think
becomes
that-
an English teacher. We're like, the birds are an excellent symbol of freedom that's unattainable for humans.
Yeah, birds are free. They're also predator and prey, and they're always watching, and he's watching, and they're voyeurs because people watch them like voyeurs, but then they're above you watching you like. And I was just like, I think we're doing too much
We're
with
all
these
just-
birds,
We're just watching each other.
and we're watching Norman watch, and okay, cool.
It's like the Dr. Seuss book. The Watcher and the Watcher and the Watcher who watches the what? No, nobody knows that Dr. Seuss one. Okay,
Nope.
I can't think of the name of it, so I'll just shut up.
Oh,
Wow, that was.
I don't know. Well, there's one where there's like it's like the bee is he watching like a bee or something? But then somebody has to watch him to make sure he's doing his job, and then there has to be a watcher to watch the watcher who's watching the watcher, and it's just
Is that just like an
It's a
indictment
whole,
on middle management?
yes, I think so. Actually, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think that's what he was going for with the birds in Psycho. I don't think he
you
was
don't
trying
think
to.
it was an anti-middle management and anti-micromanaging and
I don't.
anti-corporations in general?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm glad that's where we're going to end this.
Not sorry.
Make sure you vote for us in the Pitcher's Best of KC. You've got a week
Yes,
left.
please do. Also, please comment if you know what Dr. Seuss book I'm referencing, because I don't.
Yeah. Tell us your favorite Hitchcock film.
And your favorite Dr. Seuss book.
We need both. Only comment if you're going to give both your favorite Hitchcock and your favorite Dr. Seuss.
Yes, please.
Make sure you subscribe, write comments, do all those things. Click the like button. If
Rate
you're
us.
on the YouTubes, go watch Everybody Does It. That's the short film we just showed at a festival. It's there. Thank you to the listener who suggested we do an Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Yes.
And be excited for this next month. We're going to do a bunch of spoopy stuff for October.
Yes, like I said, I'm going to show Patrick Scream here pretty soon. And we've got I think
Couple
two
other-
other exciting Halloween-ish episodes coming up with guests. Probably.
Yes.
So,
Thank you so much, Soli, for being here.
this was fun.
yeah, thank you for joining us to watch Psycho.
Oh, I loved it.
We'll have to bring you back for
so
other
good.
movies.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes.
We'll do one that I actually know something about. No, because I guess that's the appeal. That was the best part, is like learning all this stuff.
Maybe there'll be one you'll want to host and tell us a lot of trivia about.
That's too much pressure.
Oh, okay, never mind. You can just come back and watch something new.
You can always be a guest. Never a host.
We'll make Patrick do all the work.
I like it. I like
It
doing
is
the work.
great having you do the work.
Anytime. For anything in your life, Soli,
Great.
just call me up. I'll do the
Okay.
work. Yeah.
Sure.
And yeah, make sure you go watch Soli in Under the Sun and Industrial
Yes.
Evolution
Yeah.
by Toddy Brothers Productions.
For sure.
Is that everything we need to say at the end of this thing?
I think so.
I believe so.
I think we did it.
Wonderful. I love you guys. I love you both.
I love you both.
Love you
And
guys.
I love our listeners.
Yeah.
And be excellent to each other.
And party on, dude.
Bye.